Hello, one, and hello, all. Welcome back to AIMBOT. Am I morally bankrupt? Or them? Welcome to episode 29. I didn't realize it had been going this long, and that doesn't include the episodes we had before before the resurrection, and when I was originally doing it, back by popular demand as per usual. I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling really good today. Top Tester, good to see you. And I don't know what a trench crusade is. All I'm thinking is like, trench warfare with knights in it. I don't know what I'm imagining. I really don't. I really don't. World War One knight. Okay, all right, but I wasn't aware that Crusader knights fought in World War One. Who knew? Who knew? Today I kind of I'm feeling good. Although I really I just caught the news that there's a Kilmar Abrego Garcia who was illegally transported out of the US and is sitting in a prison in El Salvador. They're basically refusing to return him. So I don't know. It's kind of it's kind of like this is incredible that you would have they keep calling him a terrorist as well. It's so bad that a guy he's not a terrorist. He's not a terrorist. He's just a dude, like just some guy who fled from El Salvador, got refugee status, has a wife, has kids, worked in the US with a green card, with a court order that they could not deport him, and he was deported anyway. And now they're refusing the president of El Salvador, who is a dictator and says he's the world's coolest dictator. Who knows what that's supposed to mean? Like, I don't think you can qualify for any kind of coolness award being a dictator, but they're basically refusing to release him. And it's insane. It's insane that this has happened. And the thing that got me when I watched it was Trump has not ruled out like sending American citizens there, like prisoners. Like, he says they're bad people, but he thinks journalists are bad people. I don't like the fact that he hasn't, he's sort of said, hey, we may do this with American citizens is just insane. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Abrego Garcia was a forest. No, he wasn't. He wasn't a terrorist. Like, he was just a guy, and he wasn't a gang member. He was just a guy who was a refugee from the gangs in El Salvador. That's why they had a court order not to. The fact that they are sort of lying and saying he was, like, they're saying, hey, yeah, he was a terrorist and he was a gang member, when that is blatantly not true, is just incredible. Like, this is the White House. This is supposed to be, it's incredible. The fact that he has it's already been litigated, and he has got a court order saying, no, you cannot deport this individual. They have done anyway, and they refuse to bring him home, is just insane. Insane to me. Like, I don't know. And I really do believe that he would do that with American citizens if he's let get away with it. Like, if he tries to get away with that, it's wild. So if you're wondering who's morally bankrupt, it's Trump and his administration. They're morally bankrupt. Like, seriously, absolutely morally bankrupt. Absolutely. We've answered the question, people. It's been answered. Trump is, because holy crap, I don't know how you are supposed to ignore due process and ignore rule of law and be the leader of a country, a democratic country. Like, it's not democratic at that point. The whole idea of a democratically elected country is that the leaders are just as subject to the law as the citizens are. That's part of the social contract that comes with living in a democratic country. That, hey, I can't go out and, imprison somebody off the street for no reason, and neither can the government. We're all under the same laws, right? Like, there is nobody above the law. That's one of the things that is the hallmark of a libertarian government, or rather a liberal government, is that just because I can't just lock up somebody for no reason, and neither can you. You can't throw me out of the country, and I can't throw you out of the country. That is the whole social agreement. That is the social contract, that we make these laws to apply to everybody, including the people that made them, especially the people that made them. Because if they are violating the laws, then they can't be making them. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. And they were laughing about it, and that was particularly sickening. We're talking about a human being with family that is, imagine what his kids are going through. Imagine what his wife is going through. I can't even imagine what his wife is going through. I can't even, begin to imagine what his wife is going to. I imagine, you've had your husband just ripped away, and he's just a guy trying to make a life. He said to Bakali, "We need to build 5 more of those prisons to send our homegrown criminals." So yeah, so he's actually talking about deporting. Well, not deporting, because I mean it's deportation. American citizens into these prisons, and it's so horrible. Like it's so horrible. It is shameful that he's sitting down and talking or negotiating with him at all, because the man is a dictator. His people are oppressed, and it's absolutely awful. Just a big shout out, Archer. Good to see you. Big Bad Mama, so good to see you. Luke, yeah, it's insane. They're openly defying Supreme Court orders. Yeah. And it's sort of, but everyone's looking around going, where do we go from here? Like, you hold Trump in contempt as many times as it takes. You hold his entire administration in contempt. Maybe that won't change anything, but at least it's on the books, and at least there's a legal, the judiciary has laid down something. Like, this whole thing of, well, let's not do anything and wait to see how it turns out. I just, like, how much worse does it have to get? Like, I don't understand. I really don't understand. I don't understand. Like, why the Democrats just sitting around going, well, maybe in a while, you know what? If he shoots somebody on the street, maybe then we'll act. I don't, I don't know. Like, but they gotta get it together. They gotta get it together. And the only people that seem to be doing anything noteworthy, and this is the thing. Yeah, I heard that. It was like, I can't imagine what she went through. Like, with no due process, against a court order, and to say, hey, we made an error, that isn't good enough. That is not good enough when it comes to people's lives. You are taking people away from their families. You better not fuck up. Like, seriously, that is not good enough. Like, and the fact that no one's been fired, no one's, no explanation, just, oh, there was a clerical error. I don't believe that for a second. I just think they grabbed whoever they wanted and just threw them in a plane to go overseas. I don't think they did any due diligence at all to make sure that these people were who they thought they were. And of course they didn't, because they don't care. But yeah, well, I mean, I totally agree. Look, the one person, the person that's been doing the most has been Bernie. Yet again, like, Bernie's basically leading from the sin bin that the Democrats have put him in. Like, so a sin bin, if you're not familiar with that term, it's like in rugby when you've committed a penalty, they put you in the sin bin. It's basically like a hockey thing when you've committed a foul or whatever, and they put you in that thing. So he's basically leading the party from the rear because they don't want to put him out the front. Like, it's insane. You've got a guy who's actually taking a stance, and they're like, Yeah, I'm not sure I'll get on board with that. Come on, like seriously. Oh, thanks, Penworm. Yeah, I just, this is penalty box. Yeah, yeah. So Bernie's leading from the penalty box, and they're still not acknowledging or supporting what he's doing. It's sort of like, I don't know. I don't know who I'm more mad at. But no, I'm definitely more mad at Trump. Yes, no, I'm definitely more mad at Trump. Like the sheer breaking of all the laws. And what I think about is that if any Democrat president did any one of the things that he's doing, they would be rioting in the streets. That the Republicans would be absolutely burning buildings down. Like they would be rioting. And you know the stuff that he's done is just reprehensible, and the Democrats are just standing around holding their junk and going, well, maybe we can do something. I don't know. They could have blocked the funding, and they didn't. They just didn't. Do they have pro hockey in Australia? I'm not sure. I think so. I mean, it's not huge over here, like Pimway. We don't have a lot of ice rinks. I'll give you the tip now. We have more field hockey than ice hockey. I'm not sure about pro. I don't know. That's a good question. I know that there's only like a couple of ice rinks in my entire state, so it's kind of very small. Do they have pro ice hockey in Australia? Yes, they have a professional Australian ice hockey league. It has 8 teams. There you go. It's called soccer. How dare you? How dare you? Yeah, it is. It's yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, they don't riot; they insurrect. They're just protesting the government. I meant riot in a colloquial sense, Phantom. I meant like they would be absolutely losing their crap. AOC, yeah, AOC is doing well as well. She's on Bernie's sort of stop the oligarchy kind of thing, which like what annoys me is that there's been no massive coverage of that either. Like they've had to acknowledge the size of it, but the mainstream media don't like. What are they doing as well? I don't know. It's just all very upsetting. It's very upsetting, and I can't imagine what people in the US are going through. So, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Dingoes and giant spiders. Yeah, combat wombats. Yeah, absolutely. I found out or I didn't find out. I was reminded the other day that wombats, their main form of defense against predators is having a big fat ass. Like basically, they have a huge. It's basically a cartilaginous plate over their ass, and they crush. Like if a predator tries to get down their burrow, they crush its head with their ass. It is the most amazing thing. I kind of knew that, but I was kind of reminded of it the other day. But this is AIMBOT, so I will get onto the thing. I just wanted to rant a little bit because the idea that you can remove someone's citizenship and spoiler, there's people in Australia talking about it. If you've got a dual citizenship, like if you're Australian and American, for instance, that if you commit a crime, they can remove your citizenship and send you back to America. That is horrible, absolutely horrible. And there's one bald, Lord Voldemort looking asshole over here who is talking like Trump, and I really don't know why people are looking at America and thinking, yeah, that's what I want. Like, seriously, it's in such a bad place, and this guy's sort of doing Trumpisms. I don't get the appeal. It's sort of like, why would you do that? I also heard that China's taking reprisals by cancelling contracts with the US. Australia's probably going to cancel a contract with the US. I would imagine a very, very big one called AUKUS, which is a terrible deal for us. So I'm all for cancelling it, even if America wasn't, getting all totalitarian. So yeah, I don't know. I just, like, this is absolutely insane. It's insane. The idea that America is considering, even speculating about deporting American citizens who have been convicted of a crime to El Salvador slave prisons. Like, seriously, it sounds like, is this a Black Mirror episode? I don't know where I live anymore. The same people who were, opposed to the treatment of people in China and the Uyghurs, which, fair enough, like, I get it. Yeah, the Uyghurs were treated horribly by the Chinese Communist Party. Totally get it. Like, at this point, any moral superiority that the US has is rapidly being thrown out the window. Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear, Jessica. I haven't seen the latest polls. I really haven't seen the latest polls, but I'm glad. And these Trumpy kind of, we're gonna make the government more efficient kind of thing. No, they never mean more efficient. What they mean is they're going to cut services and then outsource them to businesses. It's not going to be more efficient, but their friends will get more money. That's basically what's going to happen. So all of this bullshit about making things, they don't care that it's more efficient. What they care about is that more money comes in that they can divest to the things that they like, for them and their friends, like, I don't know, tax cuts for the rich and military spending, because, someone's going to make money off the destruction caused around the world. I seriously, like, people end up paying for that anyway, because the government has to spend money outsourcing it to private organizations. So they spend the money on it anyway. It's just that, their mates make money off of it. So it's all very, like, I think that people have looked at it and gone, yeah, no, that's screwed. That's absolutely screwed. I did watch the debate, and I can review it if people want, the Anthony Albanese and Lord Voldemort debate. Okay, his name's Peter Dutton. I really should start to use it, but look, he looks like Lord Voldemort, right? I will die on that hill. But what was really interesting is that, and this is just for the Australian crew out there, okay? Just, if you don't care, plug your ears, just masturbate for a while. I don't really care. But what it was that in the debate, he was asked, okay, so he had all these policies that were incredibly unpopular. This is Lord Dutton. He had all these policies that were unpopular, like he wanted to cut efficiency by cutting back on bureaucracy and Medicare and things like that. He wanted to, what else? What were the other ones? He wanted to stop work from home for government employees. He wanted them all to come to work. Ironically, the same guy wanted to work from his own house instead of the Prime Minister's residence of Kirribilli. So he wanted everybody to work from home except himself. Yeah, that bad. Yeah. And there was a third thing he wanted. Anyway, he cancelled all of these policies, but they're sort of like, well, these policies were how you were going to recoup the money for these tax cuts and these other things you were doing. So how are you paying for the changes that you want in the government during the debate? And he literally did not answer the question and talked about the other guy. And it was so telling. Like, I really think at that point they should have said, hang on, we asked this question. I'm kind of pissed at the people that were asking the questions, because they should have said, you did not answer that question. The question was, how are you covering all of, like, how does your budget reorganize so you can cover all of this stuff? And he didn't answer it. He just didn't. It was wild, absolutely wild. So, yeah, I mean, I can review that debate if people are interested. Not a lot of people are interested in Australian politics. I kind of am, because I kind of live here. So, yeah. Deviant. I haven't watched your thing that you did on I think it was Kentucky Joe that had you on. Was it Joe? Was it Joe that had you on? Somebody had you on, and I missed it. It was like in the morning for me, like 3 o'clock in the morning or some crap. So, you know, a bit insensitive of you to go on a show when I couldn't watch it. But yeah, I really want to see it. So tell me which channel it was on, because I think it was on Joe's. I think it was on Kentucky Atheist. But let me know. Hey, Mark, for all the strain it takes on one's faculties, I almost said facilities, faculties to deal with the news cycle pumping out of the orange office each and every day, and the real life fallout creates your empathic call out of the situation, mimicking the feeling I'm way too range pro to formulate in a coherent and analytic way the fresh air that revives my poor brain with the oxygen it needs having had drowned out with the blatant idiocy and evil. Yeah. Jin Yu says, an honest man with a valid visa went to his sister's internment in Australia and was turned back when trying to come back into the US. We've gotten that stupid on Immigrator. Okay, so an Aussie man with a valid visa. So he had a valid green card in America, went to his sister's, like, internment. I believe you mean, did you mean a funeral kind of thing? And then was turned back. Like, they basically saying, hey, nobody with a green card gets back in. Wow, that's so I'm wondering, like, if you don't have green cards or anything like that, what makes me wonder is, what is the legal pathway to entering the US, right? Like, what was the, like, if you wanted, like, because usually what you would do is you would apply for a visa, like a green card. You would work there for a while. You would then apply for citizenship. You can't apply for citizenship living in another country. You have to be a resident first, right? You know, and that's not including, you know, refugee status and things like that, because that's a green card as well. You're a resident in that country, meaning you're legally allowed to work there. But if they're not even recognizing green cards, and I don't think there's been any law made that green cards aren't recognized. I think Trump's just said to ICE, like, don't recognize green cards. You're just ignoring them now, which is the president violating the judiciary, or rather the legislature, which it's wild. It's so wild, because the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature are supposed to be three co-equal branches, and now it's like Trump's going, no, just ignore whatever you want to ignore. But what's your path for citizenship now? Because if you can't get a green card, or it doesn't count, it's worthless. How, like, you know, if you get a green card, go there, start to work, you're just thrown out. You can't get citizenship. You heard some very unfortunate. Yeah, look, Australia's not much better when it comes to immigration. Like, seriously, we've had our issues. There's the detention center that we've had out of country. It's overseas. Like, I've been very, very, very critical of the offshore detention centers used by the Australian government. There's Nauru, and I can't remember the other one. There's another one, right? But we only send people there who have not entered legally, basically, and I'm opposed to them, right? I think that if you are detaining people, like, I get that you have people come in as refugees and you've got to vet them, right? You've got to have some way to know that they aren't bad actors or like, I would love to just let everybody in, but that's not the world we live in. We've got to be realistic about these things. There are people that can do great harm to our country out there. And, I totally get it. You've got to have some sort of process for saying, hey, you are a refugee, you're a con artist, you're a person that means to harm Australians. You've got to have something there to do that. But if you're going to detain people, I think at least it should be in your own country. And so I'm very opposed to the offshore detention centres that Australia has. Having said that, it is not people just emigrating to Australia that get put there. It is people, refugees and people that just show up without that. We do have a process of immigration process that you can apply overseas and then get processed for immigration. We do have, laws for refugees. I'm opposed to all of them, to be honest with you. I don't think there's enough control over them. I think that if you're going to detain people, it has to be on your own soil with your own government, your own people. I think that that's the responsible thing to do. I would never trust detention to another country. I just would not. Just because they could be doing anything. They could be cutting costs. They could be, and yeah, you have inspections and things like that. But, I just think that if you are putting people, restricting their liberty, that it should be by the government that is doing it, not another government. I don't think outsourcing it is right to do just on a moral basis kind of thing. Oh, you think that is to get rid of parts of citizenship? That's horrible. What is the immigrant of choice in Australia? Anybody. That's the whole point. That's what Australia is. That's what we are. We've got, like, look, pinworm. It's not like here. The reason why I love where I live, like my suburb, my area, the place that I live, is because there are so many different cultures and backgrounds around me. It is so diverse. I see people from Africa. I see people from Asia, Koreans, Chinese, Japanese. I see, Europeans, of course, people from Scandinavia I've met just out on the street. You see people I've met a couple of Brazilians that live around here. There's a Muslim living next door, somebody from the Middle East. I've met Iranians. I've met, like, you name it. Like, this is the thing. Australia has people from all over the world come together. It is sort of, I don't think, and to be honest with you, one of the great things about that is the food. Like, there are so many different like, cultures and foods and traditions and stuff. It's wonderful. Just after we voted in the last state election, that's the WA election, Lynn and I were down the park and there was a bunch of people. It looked like a native Pacific Islander dance kind of thing. They were just in a circle dancing this, and it was beautiful. It was fantastic. It was awesome. And we're sitting there, being white Australians and having coffee and what did I have? I can't remember what I had. I think it was like a flat grill of some sort, like maybe a chicken and mushroom flat grill or something. Oh, there we go. My camera's decided to work. And it was great. It was fantastic. Just seeing that. Just, I don't know. Is there more migrants from some place than another? I don't know. There's a lot of people from Asia here. There's a lot of people from. There's a lot of Muslims here. There's a lot of a lot of people. I mean, but it depends on the area, right? Like, I remember being down south near where my wife grew up, and there was a whole contingent of Korean people that just sort of emigrated here, and we all get on famously. We went out with them, had drinks. It was fantastic. Like, it just, you know, um, international food is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't like the idea that, and sort of, these race realists and these sort of nationalists will put out that, oh, you can't have multiple cultures living together, it doesn't work, except in all the cultures where it does. And there's teething problems. There's problems with how you work with people and how you come to an understanding of a cultural identity. And Deviant will know this. In Sweden, there are teething problems with having people from a new culture in, but you're stronger for it. And I think that you will come to it. Like, people generally want the same thing. They generally will. They'll want to feel safe. They'll want to have food. They'll want to have a chance to work and be prosperous. People will generally want the same thing. So it is those people that go, oh, well, they're speaking another language. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? Like, seriously, I don't get that. I really don't. We have these things called translators now. It's a wild concept, but you don't necessarily need to speak the language. I don't. It's so weird that people get upset that other languages exist in their country. I hate to break it to you, sunshine, but unless you're a native Aboriginal Australian, then you came here with a different language too. Absolutely wild. I don't get it. And for all the, and yeah, there's problems. There's definitely problems and issues between, cultural identity and sort of these teething issues around, how do we sort of have culture be folded into the Australian culture? But I think Australians are pretty easygoing. If you want to do your thing, that's no problem. No worries, mate. You go for it. As long as they're not harming anybody else, I don't know why I should care. And yeah, don't get me wrong. There's definitely teething problems, but you come to an understanding of, hey, I mean you no harm. You mean me no harm. We can work together to build something better, and we're the richer for it. We are better off for it. That's the thing. The things that other cultures bring is not just food, okay? That would be enough to convince. It's not just food. It's also mindsets, ways of looking at things, ways of approaching problems, ways of, their communities have developed, and we can all learn off one another. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So, no, I don't have any problem at all with the immigrants in Australia. In fact, I think that immigration is one of the strengths of my country. It's not a weakness; it's a strength. There's a reason why Australia is so good at innovation. We are amazing at innovation, and that's because we can draw upon a whole wide range of perspectives and ideas and things from all over the world. Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want that? Yeah, no, and Jessica's not wrong. Same here. There's Vietnamese, Indian, Turkish. Absolutely. She's not wrong. Absolutely correct. And all welcome. Get along fine. No worries. No worries at all. I mean, I've got a favorite. I've got a favorite Korean restaurant. I've got a favorite Japanese restaurant. I've got a favorite Turkish restaurant. By the way, Turkish is frigging fantastic. I got to say, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, in Belgium, it's the same. When I was a kid, me and my brother's friends were truly multicultural. Belgian, Thai, Turkish, Moroccan, Greek, Chinese. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And spoiler alert, people are generally just, they're the same. The culture's just the dressing on them. People are generally after the same things. Like, they just want to have a life and be well and have their family and friends well and take care of their family and, you know, have opportunity. It's not that you know, this whole thing about, oh, they want to take our country away. No, they don't. They just want a place in it. That's all. Like, get over yourself. Seriously. I don't know. It's wild. Yeah, no, I totally get you. Yeah, there definitely are teething problems. Totally understand. Totally understand. But it is transitionary and it has worked. Um, yeah, absolutely. And that was a disgrace. That was an absolute disgrace. Yeah. Yep. Absolute disgrace. Yes. You know, it's not like Australia's been perfect. We've had some disgraceful stuff. The stolen generation is a disgrace, and that's what we have to live with. I am not to blame for what's happened in Australia to the native Aboriginals. I am responsible, right? And if you haven't heard me talk about it before, the difference between blame and responsibility. Um, oh yeah, Jessica, yeah, absolutely. Not only that, we're home to tons of Iranians after the uprising of the Shah and overthrow of Iranian democracy. Thanks for that one, America. So you know, we have a ton of refugees in Australia. Um, so what's the difference between blame and responsibility? So like, imagine you're working in a company, and this is just the way I see it. I don't know if this is, you know, scholarly correct. I don't know if this is definitionally correct, but this is the way I frame it. That, you know, working in a company, I've worked a lot in complaints. Actually, I sent a email to the Apostate Sisters. I'm probably going to show up on their channel and maybe talk about my life and talk about my perspectives on growing up a man and things like that, as opposed to womanhood, because I can't comment on womanhood. I can't comment on it. I don't know what it's like. I could never know what it's like, but I can comment on my own situation. But anyway, that aside, so I will be appearing there soon. So with blame, like if you do something wrong in a company, like you screw up an account, or you're and I've dealt a lot with complaints, so like you stuff up something really bad. That's what I see as blame. It's like, it's your fault. No, you screwed up. You know, that is your fault. That is the blame part. But someone can come through to you. You know, you're working complaints. You get a notification that this is been escalated up the chain to your section, because it is the part that I worked in was generally technical. So basically, you would be like, okay, well, they might yell at you, right? Always a problem with these kind of situations, especially where, like, because I worked in internet, where internet's involved, you know, like, and usually I never had a problem with people in that. I totally understood, you know, that they're a business person and their service has gone down, or they work in a company, their service has gone down. It hasn't come up for a week, kind of thing. Yeah, it is, you know, they're under a deadline, or they're having to, you know, and their internet's just gone, and you know, the company is absolutely screwed up. Now, I'm not to blame for that. I was never involved in that situation, right? Like, I had nothing to do with their internet being screwed up. A technician, you know, screwed up and connected the wrong one, and then, you know, damaged their equipment. Like, that's not my fault, right? I'm not to blame for that. However, them coming through, I am responsible, right? I'm responsible for what happens from that point onwards. When I get it, I am then responsible for it, even though I am not to blame. So the way that I see the injustices done by Australia, I'm not to blame for them. I wasn't even born when some of them happened. Like, you know, I didn't do that at all, but I am responsible. How I choose to look at it, how I choose to communicate it, how I choose to even vote and approach these problems that are the leftovers of colonialism and horrendous atrocities, that is my responsibility, because my demographic is the one that has been placed in power, in part due to the actions done during those atrocities. So, nobody's blaming white people for what happened in the Deep South and antebellum slavery. They're not to blame, but they are responsible because they hold the means for addressing that atrocity. So that's the difference between it. That we have to be aware that an entire demographic of people had the most horrible things done to them. And we're responsible for where it goes from here. We're responsible for how it will proceed into the future. Whether we deny and say, oh, it never happened, or, they were lucky it happened, or just some of the weird crap that I hear, right? Like I really hear. That is you failing your responsibility. Okay? You're not to blame, but you're failing in your responsibility to at least address and try to remedy the things that have been done in the past. And by remedy, I don't mean, you have to fix all of it, but you have to acknowledge and apologize and at least acknowledge the trauma, because it doesn't heal without people coming together and saying, hey, you faced this trauma, or, your ancestors faced this trauma, you're in a bad situation because of it, and we understand that and want to help you. That is all it requires. That's it. And we need to do that to heal this massive rift, this brutal scar from colonialism. And I will quote one of my favorite ex-YouTube essayists, I guess, Lindsay Ellis, that communism is baked into the bedrock of every society across the world. Colonialism left it's very rare to find a country where colonialism hasn't left a scar of some sort. So thanks, UK and France and, Spain and everybody else that participated. Look, I could include the Netherlands in that as well. So Netherlands not immune to the scar of colonialism, but we're not to blame for it. We do have to take responsibility. That's the way I see it. And you can disagree all you want. Oh yeah, Portugal. Sorry, Antje, I forgot Portugal. Definitely. Well, you don't have to feel garbage, Left-Handed Jedi. It's just important to acknowledge it for what it was, to acknowledge that it was an atrocity, acknowledge that something has to be done to heal that wound. And I get what you mean. You wish it never happened at all, and you'd hope that if you were alive, you would have not done it. I get all of that. I really do. But we can't beat ourselves up for what happened in the past, especially when we're not to blame. All you can do is say, well, I take responsibility for acknowledging and trying to heal this catastrophic rift between humans. That's all you can do, because I can't change the past. We've got to let that go. But by let go, I mean let go the blame for it, the guilt for it, and embrace the responsibility of making a better world, one where those things are never going to be repeated. Please, Trump, those things shall never be repeated, Trump. Leave Iceland alone. Leave Greenland alone. Oh, maybe Iceland? Yeah, I don't know. Well, no. But, sometimes things happen to you that are not of your own making, Like, somebody breaks in and robs your house. You can't say, hey, that was my own decision or something. Like, what are you talking? No, Booba Sweat, come on. Some things are out of your control, and you have to let go that you ever had control over them. Because really, you don't have control over anything but what you do. Like, you have no control over anything except what you do. I'm glad, Left-Handed. I would worry if you were for it, mate. I would worry if you were for, seizing Canada. I really would. I don't think you'd be very popular. Yeah, I think, I agree with you. Empathy is still good. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can fix the problem one in power if you have to have, as the one in power, you also have some responsibility to stop the damage being done. Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's probably a good call, Wes. Yeah. But, none of us are really in power, mate. I wouldn't say that I wield a significant amount of power in the world, because I don't. It's just real. I'm just some random dude in Australia. So all I can do is, speak from where I'm coming from. And, enough people speak with the same voice, they do have some sort of power, but I'm just one element in that. Yeah. But we'll go on to AIMBOT, because I really have ranted enough. I do apologize, but oh, look, nobody's calling it Gulf of America. I mean, seriously. Plus, America isn't the United States of America. Like, when you say Gulf of America, right? America's is the entire North and South America. So it's not even geographically accurate, because it's not Gulf of North America. It's Gulf of America. What? It's a Gulf that's, I it's wild. It's all wild. It's wild. And I don't understand it. But then again, if I understood it, I don't think I would be sane. I think I would be drinking Kool-Aid by the gallon. I live in a community that's split 50-50 down the middle between working hard and contributing to society, and people drinking themselves to death, being mad at the world all day. That's interesting. So I will quote one of my favorite quotations from what was his name? Krishna Kidamurthy. Give me 1 second. Jiddu Krishnamurti. Now, listen carefully. Listen carefully. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Okay, I'll repeat that. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And that doesn't mean anybody that's well adjusted to society is sick. No, it just means that if you are not coping with society, it may be the society and not the person it may be the person, but it may not be. So when you understand substance abuse, and you understand especially alcoholism, it is a coping mechanism with something deeper. What has to be addressed is the deeper thing. What has to be addressed is the problem that they're trying to cope with while using the substance. The problem isn't that they're using substance. The problem is that they can't cope with something. Now, it could be something of their own accord. It could be something on society. But we can't just look at people and say it is automatically something that they've done to themselves. We have to be more mindful that traumas aren't somebody's deciding to do something. They're inflicted upon people. And sometimes in order to cope, they have harmful behaviors. And we've got to understand this. Like, sometimes, yeah, it is just, they've failed to live up to their own expectations. I get you sometimes. But we can't just assume that, because people that are trying to cope with things is so much more nuanced than just this person good, that person bad, because they're doing this thing. People are much more nuanced than that. It's so much more complicated. Sorry, Bubba Sweat, it's not you. It's just me. I've met so many people that using something to try and cope with something horrible that's happened to them that should never have happened, and they had no power on them. Yeah, Wes, I have issues with AA. I think that it works for some people. I think it works for some people. I think it doesn't for others. I think that scientifically proven psychological techniques of addiction are way better and have much more effective results. I think that most of the AA things over here aren't religious based. They've sort of moved into a secular thing. So their success rate is bad in comparison to, sort of more modern approaches on therapy and, some of the more modern approaches like CBT, acceptance commitment therapy, ACT, sorry. There's a whole bunch of therapies that are way, way better or seem way more effective. It does work for some people though. So yeah. Yeah, and it's difficult to get, whenever addicts are concerned, it is difficult to get accurate information. Addicts will lie. They definitely will lie. That will happen. So it is kind of difficult. Okay, let's go. Yeah, no, that was a long rant. Your 50-minute opening banter. I will correct you, Jessica. That was a rant. Don't lie. That was a rant, not banter. It was a rant, okay? I don't bants, I rants. If I'm not banting, I'm ranting, okay? Yeah. Shush. I might not banter. Okay. Look, I reserve the right to rant. Hey, Tori, good to see you. So our first one is up. Now, if you're new to AIMBOT, what are we doing? We're taking a moral stance on some situations provided us by the glorious Reddit, the front page of the internet, and the primordial soup of toxicity in some cases. Look, I don't. We're here to judge the things, not Reddit itself, okay? So I don't curate these. I don't select them out. We're just going through. I personally use Rant Like You Got Ants in Your Pants. Oh, baby, yeah. I love it. The conversation has been derailed onto ranting. Look, I don't curate these. I don't select them. We just approach them. I use secular humanism to examine what it is that should be moral, what we ought to do and what ought not to do, or what the person ought to have done on what ought not to have done. A lot of people are just more using intuition. I don't have a problem with that. I think intuition is generally a culturally learned sort of shortcut, the heuristics that we use to investigate what feels right and what doesn't. I don't have a problem with that. But yeah, really what I want to know is why you choose. Oh, UTV and Ham? Got to leave. Have a great day. Take care. You take care too. Nice cut. Nice cut. Take care. I hope you have a good day. Yeah, so really I want to know why. What is it? So generally when using secular humanism, I'm looking at a utilitarian approach, basically human well-being and the well-being of people. I really look for sort of a reasonable consequentialist approach. So is it can we reasonably say it will lead to the betterment of human well-being in general, or whether that be physical, psychological, or societal? There should be some base level things that are always bad for human well-being, like for instance, people not getting food or being dragged away to detention centers and slave camps overseas. That's definitely bad for human well-being. Absolutely. So it's even bad for societal well-being, because even if you say, hey, he's not part of the society anymore, he's left a grieving, and I mean grieving, wife and children there. So you've just caused a great harm to society. And the fear that is generated that you could be dragged away at any time is not good for society. People afraid will act incredibly unpredictably. And that is, that's not good thing in a stable society. Unpredictable people and afraid people, not cool, not a good thing. But yeah, this is am I the a-hole or the asshole? And we're just going to go through and see if we can apply some morality to this. Okay, am I the asshole for refusing to pay my friend after my ferret attacked her $900 dress? I think so. Yeah, I think that you're responsible for what your pets do. I think that if you have a pet and they're on the loose, I mean, I would have to say there has to be some, if it's your house and they just leave it lying around, like you'd have to think some negligence on their part. If she's reasonably had the dress there, and your ferret just randomly attacked it, so um yeah, so you've damaged somebody's property through the actions of your pet and you not being able to control your pet. I would imagine that you are responsible. I have been told that they are a proud people, Phantom. I have been told that by one one physicist. Okay, a physicist tells me that weasels are a proud people. Okay, I have to back that up. My first guess says yes. Like, yeah, you're an asshole because that's your pet and you're like, again, are you to blame for it? No. Are you responsible for it? Yes. Yes, you are responsible for the actions of your pet. So let's go through it. So 29 female, have a pet ferret, Noodles. Okay, for a start, that is objectively cute. That is gorgeous that you have a pet ferret called Noodles. So that's just cute. All right. So I can at least say you're not an asshole for naming your pet ferret Noodles. That is gorgeous. By the way, I've had ferrets. Well, were they pet ferrets? My dad used to catch rabbits and like the way. Okay. So does everyone know how you catch rabbits? So basically what you do, and this is wild. What you do is you basically go and find a rabbit burrow, like a warren is what it's called. Couldn't remember that for a second. Like you find every single or as many entrances to these warrens as you can. Okay, that's how you do it. Then you throw a net over every single, like all but one of the warren holes going to the outside. You just throw a net over every single one, and then down the one left, you put a ferret. That's what you do. And those rabbits will come out like they will come out like lightning. They want nothing to do with the ferret because they are mean. And I mean, they can be cute, but they will bite you if they like you. And if they don't, they will literally take a chunk out of, like, seriously. They are predatory animals in the wild. They are still that in as domesticated, as far as I know. I mean, they weren't really pets; they were still work ferrets, but work ferrets kind of. But yeah, that's how I know how to catch rabbits. You just let the ferret flush them into nets. Like they will absolutely get caught in the nets because they are not hanging around with that thing in their warren. So yeah. He's super friendly and curious and let him free roam when I'm home. It's your responsibility then. My friend Cara, 28 female, fake name, came over last weekend for wine night with a few of our other friends. She showed up wearing this very extra silk dress. Very extra. I feel like they're denigrating her dress. Like, why? She said she had a date after and didn't have time to change. Okay. I told her maybe not the best outfit for a casual girls' night, but whatever. Okay. Well, at one point, she gets up to go to the kitchen, and Noodles, being the menace that he is, bolts towards her and jumps up. His little claws snag the back of her dress, and it tears maybe a half-inch slit. She screams, freaks out, and runs into the bathroom sobbing. Okay. I mean, maybe she doesn't like ferrets, and that's okay. You can't expect people to like your pets. Like, I'm really sorry, but you might love ferrets. Other people might be absolutely frightened by them. You may love dogs. Other people may find them terrifying. Like, don't assume that just because you like an animal that other people will like it too. Hell, just don't assume because you like a person, other people will like them too. Don't do that either, because they may not. Like, you can't just say, hey, that's my pet, so you've got to deal with it. Like, if they don't have a problem, they could leave, but I don't think she had a problem until it jumped up on her dress. So also, some people are allergic to things, right? Like, people expect my wife to love their cat and love their dog, and she's horrendously allergic to both. Don't assume, because some people, through no fault of their own, cannot handle your pet. Okay. And she doesn't stay when, if we go to somebody's house and there's a lot of cat hair around, she's especially allergic to cats. We don't stay there. But at the same time, if you, want your dog to meet her and, we're out or something and you want your dog to cuddle with it, don't, because she's not going to want to do that because it sucks. It sucks. Being allergic to something sucks, like it sucks afterwards. For half a day, she's like sniffing and red eyes and stuff. Like, don't do that to her. So yeah, this is the whole thing. The whole vibe died instantly. Yeah, because that's what's important. The vibe is what's important. Come on, grow up. Seriously. I felt bad, but also like you wore a $900 dress to a drink boxed wine on my carpet with a literal ferret present. Why was the ferret present? If the ferret jumps up and rips stuff. Anyway, she sends me a Venmo request later that night for $920. Apparently, the dress is from some vintage designer and the repair requires specialist fabric sourcing. I declined the request. She sent it again. I declined again. Now she's telling everyone I'm irresponsible and letting my rodent ruin people's things. It's not a rodent. It's not a rodent. Okay, a ferret is not a rodent. It's a what is a ferret? God, I used to know this. It's a okay, I'm just gonna look it up. It's a mustelid. Yeah, it's a mustelid. Okay, it's a mustelid. It's a mustelid, right? It's not a rodent. It's a mustelid. Totally different. A rodent would be better because rodents generally are not oblate carnivores. They don't, rabbits seldom attack things. Well, they do, but I mean, that wouldn't cause as much damage as a ferret. She even told our group chat that I let Noodles drink wine. He just sniffed the glass one time. My other friends are split. Some say I should pay at least something. Others saying Car is being dramatic. Yeah, I mean, you should pay at least something. Look, what I would do is ask for the receipt for a quote for the repairs, right? Like, because if it's a $900 dress kind of thing, I have trouble believing that a dress requires $900 to repair. I have a bit of trouble believing that. I really do. So I would say send me the quote for the work kind of thing. Then today, her lawyer dad sent me a letter saying I'm liable for damages. I literally laughed out loud. Well, I wouldn't. Like, what judge is going to look at me and say, yes, pay $900 because your ferret got excited about silk? Your pet ruined or damaged somebody's property. That might be exactly what he says. You're responsible for the damages that your pet causes. You are responsible. I just don't believe it's $900. I would say, hey, so am I the asshole? Was this entire thing completely unhinged? I think that as a compromise, I would probably say, hey, I'll pay for some of it, kind of thing, split the cost, maybe, cover half of it, something like that, right? I would probably say, hey, we can come to an agreement or a settlement. But if you actually go to court, right, it may be that the judge will look at you and go, yeah, you're responsible for what your pet does. So if your pet cannot be controlled, it should have been locked up. If your pet is, like, this is what gets me. He's a menace, right? Like, she says he's a menace, being the menace that he is. So she knows that the pet may attack people. Okay, that's what she knows. So she's still responsible for what happens. But I don't believe the dress would take $900 to fix. I really don't. I don't believe that. So I would want some kind of receipt or some kind of some kind of quote from the person. But I think that being reasonable, you would ask, you would say, can we split it? But her just saying, hey, my ferret attacked you, even in your home, I think there is the expectation that when you go to somebody's home, their pets are not going to attack you, right? And the fact that he knows he's a menace, like, I'm not sure what, maybe he means that he just jumps up on people kind of thing. But I think that it's I don't know. I think that it is unreasonable to have the expectation that you won't get. It's unreasonable to think that you have to protect your clothing at somebody's house. I think that's unreasonable. I think that I would have the expectation that somebody's dogs wouldn't jump up on me. I would have the expectation that that they would be trained enough not to jump up. I'm not allergic to dogs. I'm fine with dogs. I like dogs. I like cats more, but I like dogs. I think I would have the expectation that the dog be trained enough not to jump up on somebody. Like, I don't like untrained dogs. And I don't, cats are a bit different. I suppose I should be a bit quick comparing it to a cat because they're both oblate carnivores. I think that they're both more similar. But I think a cat, if your cat jumps up on people, I think you shouldn't allow it to be there if they have a problem with it. So, this one's an interesting one. I still think that they're partially responsible, though. I really do. And if your thing's such a menace, I don't think it's going to cost $900. I think she's just upset because she's embarrassed and her dress was ripped, and so she's saying, hey, it's going to cost $900 and asking her to pay. I don't think it is. I mean, I don't even know how bad it was. A half-inch slit? Yeah, I doubt that's $900. I would be finding another person. I mean, you can ask them to send. I mean, the other thing you could do is ask them to send you the dress and you'll repair it. I think that's more than reasonable. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that it requires, some kind of, I think just repairing it to sufficient where it is basically the same as before. A half-inch slit, I doubt that would require, custom fabric. I really don't. I think it's more she's, this person's trying to hurt her by saying it's $900 kind of thing. But I really would like to know what you think. I will do the poll because I am a pole dancer, if you did not know. I dance the dance of the pole flamenco. Let's get done, peeps. Let's get done. Where's my buttons? Oh, do I have any more readerships to send out? Hold on, I'll do the poll first. Okay, so I was feeling in a good mood this morning and I was feeling kind of cheeky. So I put some Australianisms in the poll. So I did do some translation work at the end of them. So, you know what they mean. But if you have any questions, ask me what they are and I'll tell you. And I will tell you. Too easy. Was the poster right for ignoring request to send money for dress? This is a bit convoluted one, isn't it? But yeah, I think I'll stick by my guns. I think they're at least a little bit responsible for what their ferret does. I have seen too many pet owners sort of go, well, my dog does this and I'm not responsible. Yeah, you are. You might not be to blame, but you are responsible. And that sort of ties in with what I was saying earlier about blame and responsibility. You're not to blame for what your pet does. You are responsible for at least fixing it in some way, because it's not this person's fault what your pet, your ferret did It's not their fault, and they're not responsible. You are. Okay. Start poll. Okay. So it's a bit of a different one. It is a very Australian poll. Accept it. Just say no worries. It's an Australian poll. I love it. Don't forget to like while you're at it. If you like the poll, like the stream. Hell, if you don't like the poll, like the stream or dislike the stream. If you like the poll, both dislike and like the stream. That's going to be my... I don't know what I'm saying. I honestly don't. No worries. Deviant knows where it's at. Yeah, so let's see what the Redditors have to say. Let's see. Why is my mouse just going back and forward? But that's a weird one. Info, call for info. Did she know Noodles was free roaming ferret before she came over? I.e., has she been over before and seen free roaming? Yes, we've been friends for... Hello, mouse? Hello? Okay, I'm gonna fix this in a second. Replug my mouse, maybe? Yes, we've been friends for a decade now. She's met Noodles several times and knows the vibe. It wasn't a surprise that Noodles was free roaming. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Then definitely not the arsehole. She knowed me roaming free. She took that chance. It's all on her. Yeah, that definitely changes something if she's aware, of Noodles' personality and what he does. Like, I presume that she's jumped up before and Poster is a Jim Bogan. Wow, I love this. I love this. Can I change my poll? I'll change it in the next one, all right? I'll change it in the next one, Mama, I promise. Hang on, let me get the thing changed. Oh, dear. Oh, I love it. Do you have one for Wilson? Do you have one for Wilson? The poll is a false dilemma. How can it be a dilemma when it's got 4 options? I'm very curious about that. A false quadlemma, maybe? Quadlemma? Could be. I mean, there's other options. It's just YouTube doesn't allow me to do any more than 4. Whereas I would probably have, something else tacked on the end of it. Oh yeah, there's definitely more options, and I wish YouTube could give them to me, but I don't. So basically, we've got Poster is moral. Poster is immoral. Everyone is moral. Everyone is immoral, or not moral. Basically, I wish I had one that's like everyone's amoral. It's just a wash, basically. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I had that, but I don't, because it's only got 4 options. So I work with the poll I've got. I mean, how many men have said that in the past? I work with the poll that I have. Okay, don't judge me for it. It's only got 4 options. It's a 4-option poll. Okay, and if you want a bigger poll, well, you're shallow and go somewhere else. Oh, absolutely, there's more options. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay, I wanted a good and a bad. There's a good and bad in there. What do you think Bonza and Ridgy Didge mean? Everyone is buggered. It means everyone is bad. Look, I even translated afterwards. You're being difficult. My complaint is YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go take it up with YouTube. I'm sure they will give an amazing amount of credence to your complaint, like they do for none of mine. You're the arsehole. You invited company to your house. All you had to do was put your pet up. If I was your friend, I wouldn't think it'd be an issue meeting up at your apartment before a date in a nice dress. You shouldn't be so callous to the fact that your pet jumped up on your uninvited guest and ruined her dress. I kind of agree. I think that I'm gonna maintain that you're both kind of responsible. Though it's your pet, she knew that the pet was a menace, as it were, or she at least should be familiar with the antics of this pet. So I think that you should what would be moral is that you both accept some portion of responsibility, that you say, hey, I didn't you're not entirely responsible, because I have to be responsible with things I bring into your house when I know that there's a feral ferret there. I just wanted to say feral ferret. I'm sorry. I know it's not feral. Okay. I'm just, calling it that because I wanted to say it. But at the same time, you're responsible for your pet. So I think I still will stand by that sort of halving the bill. But I don't think the bill for that kind of thing would be $900. So I really would insist that if you want me to pay for half of it, that I bring it back and I get it repaired, or you send me the quotation with the breakdown of what is actually costing $900, because that's a lot of money. Like, seriously, I don't think it's going to take that much to repair at all. So I would, if they want to be legal about it, then be legal. Get an estimate, right? Source your own estimate. Say, give me the details of the dress and I will get an estimate, and then we can split that. Don't allow them to say, hey, it's $900 for this thing, and not actually provide any proof of that, because it sounds like she is inflating costs to hurt you in return. And that sucks. That really sucks. I think they can be more reasonable about it. But yeah, I kind of do agree with that. That, my cats and dogs are out when my friends and family come over. My friends leave their cats and dogs when I come over. Why is the ferret different? I'm not saying OP has no responsibility, but assuming all animals should be caged, crated when a company is over is a silly take. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. Like, I don't think caged, crated. You just have to put them in another room. Like, seriously? I've known people with dogs, and when they're having a dinner, they put them outside, or they, put them in another room, especially if there's young children around, and, children are just as likely to cause damage to clothing or possessions. Yeah, but you would expect that if your child damaged somebody's property, that you would say, hey, that's my responsibility. Am I wrong? If someone came over in something expensive and your kid just rips it up, you wouldn't say, oh, well, that's your tough luck. You knew I had a kid. Am I wrong? Is that something that I'm wrong with? I don't know. OP can be, and I would say is, the arsehole. My argument that leaving Noodles out is not what made the OP the arsehole. OP refusing to take responsibility for their pet's actions is what. Well, yeah, I mean, either way is fine. Refusing to take responsibility for the pet's actions. Yeah, I agree with that. I do. Because they're basically saying, hey, if you bring something into my house and my ferret, I mean, where do you draw the line with that? Like, I don't know where you draw the line. If your ferret, because ferrets can bite, and as I said, they can take a chunk out of you. If your ferret bites and takes a medium-sized piece of flesh out of somebody, especially a child, you're going to say, well, you knew I had a ferret. Okay. That doesn't allow them to just do whatever. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my mouse. Give me a second. I'm just gonna play around. I'm just gonna play with my my clicker here for a second. What is wrong with you? Weird. It's very sensitive. Very sensitive, my mouse at the moment. I don't know why. If it keeps up, I'll try replugging it. I don't know where I got it plugged in, actually, in the reversal. Anyway, info. You're obviously judging her for wearing an expensive dress to be in your home. That is true. That is true, chat. She did come through. I don't know whether that attitude was up front, right? Like, oh, why are you wearing this dress in my home? We're just having a box wine or whatever. Is like, we call that goon in Australia. Now, I don't know why we call it goon. I don't know why we call box wine goon. Yeah, drink box wine on my carpet. Don't you have like a sofa? Like a sofa or a coffee table? Come on, you can get like a cheap ass coffee table from IKEA, and like just a cheap ass, thing from IKEA. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they spend too much on ferret food or something. I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like, you're basically, I don't know whether that judging for the too expensive dress was not the best outfit for a casual girls' night, but whatever. I don't think it was up front. I think it's more like she's just upset now that she's asked to replace her dress or repair her dress. She has known Noodles since I got him and has even pet sit for me before. If fancy dress was the vibe and it was that kind of hangout, I would have put Noodles up, but it was literally a wine night and casual clothes except for Kara. We've done this many times before with Noodles out and about, but sans the expensive dresses and had no issues. Yeah, but you still got a responsibility when your pets do something. You're responsible for the behavior of your pets as a pet owner. That's kind of how it goes. Sorry. Yeah, your pet may have never caused damage in the past. You're still kind of responsible for the damage they do. That is not what I said. That is not what I said. And I'm going to look that up. Okay. I'm not going to read that out. I'm not going to read that out. Luke, that was really self-inflicted, Luke. I was going to blame you for that. That was absolutely self-inflicted, Luke. I will take responsibility for that. Unlike this pet owner, I will take responsibility for that. I'm not going to blame you. Yeah, but if you do have issues, your pet is still to blame, and therefore you're responsible. In my opinion, I still think it's your responsibility. Oh dear. Everyone sucks here. And I say is that as a ferret owner. Okay, so we've got a ferret owner in the chat, or alleged ferret owner, because, who's to know with Reddit, quite frankly. Everyone sucks here. I say that as a ferret owner. I understand free roaming. Mine are, but I tend to put them away when guests are over just for general safety. It's a good point. Ferrets have been known to bite hard. And like I said, when a ferret likes you, it will bite you. When it doesn't like you, it will literally take a chunk out of you. Like, their teeth are so sharp. It's incredible. Guests tend to be less good about not leaving doors open, leaving alcohol accessible, and not accidentally hurting ferret, as not used to something small and fast by their feet. And ferrets can intimidate some guests. Yeah, but that doesn't count because she's had them there before, like, totally. You noticed she was dressed inappropriately. I'd have offered a cover-up at least. I have to take tights with me to put on in the train toilet sometimes. It's otherwise not getting out of the house with them intact. I have to take tights with me to put on in the train toilets sometimes. What the hell are the train toilets? As otherwise not getting out of the house with them intact. Ferrets and sheer fabrics just don't go well together. Well, that's interesting to know that ferrets destroy sheer fabrics. All that said, she decided to take the risk, and you did warn her. I'd probably have offered something towards the repair, but not covering total cost of dress. Invisible mending shouldn't be that expensive. Yeah, absolutely. A dress that expensive should carry its own insurance. And once her dad started threatening legal action, I'd be done trying to compromise. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. I think getting your dad a lawyer to threaten legal action is a bit... I mean, you're right. Everyone sucks. Like, her dad threatening legal action absolutely sucks. Everyone sucks here. Honestly, you're coming across as a bit judgmental about her outfit. Yeah, but we don't know whether that was before or after. She may have had no time to change, or maybe she was feeling great in it and wanted to show her friends and get hyped up like friends usually do. I don't think it's too weird. I get that you see a ferret as friendly and well-meaning, but any animal jumping up on someone has the chance of going wrong. It's always a risk something might get damaged or someone trips and hurts themselves. I think it's too much for you to pay the whole amount, but it seems fair even when she is acting over the top right now. I think you should also look into how you might have been too dismissive, making her feel worse, and so action-reaction. That's a very good point. If you're too dismissive and just go, oh, well, it doesn't matter when she's upset, it might cause a worse reaction. I think having some empathy about how she feels is probably a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very good call. I think I agree with Orange Wheelchair of all people because Left-Handed Jedi, $5. Thank you so much. 5x Freedom dollars. Sorry, Jedi. Like I have to say, I have to laugh about this stuff, or I seriously, I don't know how I would get up in the morning. You know what I mean? Like I have to laugh about I have to make jokes about the ridiculous absurdity that we're in, or it's too depressing to cope with. I think that's how I'm coping, is making jokes about it. So Left-Handed Jedi, just explaining, I'm not taking it lightly. Some things I have to joke about or I will go insane. You know what I mean? So I'm not taking it lightly. So Left-Handed with the 5x Freedom dollars. Schrodinger's anti-magnetic weasels Jedi, I blame you. You're not only responsible, you are to blame. Okay. Schrodinger's anti-magnetic weasels quantum flux applies here. Geez, people, read the damn manual. Lol. You're right. I didn't read the manual. I could barely get that out. Schrodinger's anti-magnetic weasels quantum flux applies here. Geez, people, read the damn manual. You got me. All right. You got me. I screwed up the first time. You got me. Left-Handed Jedi. You got me. All right, let's see what you people have to say. I feel like it's going to be, well, Noodles is cute, so that can't be the whole thing. It can't be. Yeah. Oof. Just going up. I'm going up. There's additional details change your mind. Yeah, fair, aren't you? Yeah, fair. No, I get you. Like sometimes the title is like, oh, absolutely, and then you're like, oh, wait, yeah, that title was incredibly misleading as far as responsibility goes. No, I'm totally get what you're saying. Let's Fun says, I assume the friend knew the living arrangements, could have bought the dress and changed before leaving. Well, yeah. But should you have an expectation that you will have your dress? Make the ferret pay for it. Oh yeah. It's you're gonna get 3 rabbits and a squirrel for your dress. Yes. Exceptionally average says attack in scare quotes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what, Jessica? You probably know this. I hate the word that the Australian opposition leader is saying. Yes, he who should not be named, Lord Voldemort himself, is saying with Mediscare. It's so bad. It's like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, seriously, what are you doing? Mediscare. That's our Medicare policy, our affordable care policy, basically our public and healthcare. Mediscare. Get the hell out of here, man. Like, seriously. Did the woman with the overpriced dress know about the ferret and its behavior? Well, apparently so. But it seems like, so we can sort of, it implies 2 things. Number 1, she didn't know the ferret and its behavior, but number 2 is that it hadn't done this particular thing before. And if the credentials of the random Redditor that has ferrets is to be believed, that ferrets have a propensity to attack sheer things. So it may be that what she was wearing on this one occasion, unbeknownst to her, caused this behavior. Noodles. Yeah, no, I like the name as well. Look, out of all the blame that's going around, no one's blaming the ferret, and rightfully so, Jessica. The ferret's not responsible or to blame. It's just being a ferret, like it's just being a ferret. Let's Farm says, I was going to say what Mark said. She is responsible. Waskly Wabbits, yeah, absolutely. Just like a weasel. Weasels are murder on chickens. Yeah, essentially they have the same function. It's just a musculid to scare them out, basically. Ferrets do the same thing, as well as stoats and other mustelids. Deviant says it's very much depends on the situation. In general, yes, you're responsible for your pet. But if the other is doing something to the pet despite being knowing not to, despite being told not to or knowing not to, it's not on you when someone provokes your pet to do something. Well, it seems like it wasn't provoked. It seems like wearing a sheer substance provoked it. You could just put up a really big fence for the rabbits. Aunt Jer, that is the longest fence in the world. You take that back and be amazed with our wonder of the world. The rabbit-proof fence. It's not completely proof, all right? It's not actually rabbit-proof, but it's something. It was the veriest extras. It was the veriest, extras, mostest silk dress ever. And everybody knows that silk dress was the bestest, most beautiful dress. I'm terrible at impressions. I'm sorry. You just live with it. Did she know the living arrangements beforehand? Well, apparently so. I like them as much as a sewer rat. They're gross when taken care of, especially not descented. Oh, yeah. Mustelids absolutely smell. Yeah, no, I get what you're pick up what you're putting down there, Wes. But the ones that my family had were not like indoor pets. They were work animals kind of thing for catching rabbits. So, yeah. So has friend never been in the house before? Does she not know Noodles? Apparently she knows Noodles. But Noodles did something Noodles wasn't supposed to do, apparently. Let's Time said we had a friend who was good at taking care of her ferret. It smelled up the whole house. Yeah, yep. The ferret lives there. The friend doesn't. Correct. Yes, the ferret lives there. The ferret was present because the ferret lives there. The lady knew the ferret was there. She could have declined the invitation if she didn't like it. Yeah, but I don't think she thought that the ferret would, attack her or her clothes or, sort of thing. Related to weasels and mink. Yes. I like mink. Yeah, mink's just the winter coat for stoats, I believe. I think that is mink. It's just the white coat that stoats get when they are a thing. I think that's what it is. I'll double check that because if I get biology wrong, there are several people in my community that will yell loudly at me. Oh, no, it's its own thing. Then what am I thinking of? Oh, no, minks are their own thing. Oh, they're so cute. They're so cute. Look, I still think the cutest is otters. Otters are definitely the cutest. Just because when they like bashing rocks on things and they're floating and holding hands. Oh, otters are so cute. Give me an otter in the chat if you think otters are the cutest mustelid. Weasels are supposedly an honorable people and anti-magnetic by nature. That is true. That is being confirmed. Yeah, no, not your style, and please don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like animals used for clothing. It's kind of, we have synthetics and they're perfectly fine. I don't see why. I understand back in the day kind of thing ages ago, but nowadays I don't see why you'd do that. Unless of course, you're using it because you're using the entire animal. I don't know. I just don't think it's a good look. Exceptionally average says, if someone allergic to cats visits my house, I will not pay for the allergy meds. Well, that's a good point, yes. But I think that someone allergic going to your house knows for sure that they're going to have an allergic reaction or going to respond negatively. I think it's that they didn't know that the ferret would attack. Like, that's a bit of a different situation. I mean, it is a good point, but it is a different situation because you know ahead of time that will happen if you go to somebody's house. But whereas she didn't know that the ferret would attack. So, yeah. They could split the cost and then she could shun her henceforth. Yeah, I think that would be a good thing to do. Pay to repair it, but not replace it. Yeah, no, I get you. That's a steep bill for a repair, right? Like, that is excessive. Jessica Bell says, if you're going to be a guest in my home, you have to accept that my cats to be near you and interact with you. That's what comes from being there. If you don't like them, you can leave. Yeah, and so if I was with my wife, I probably would, yes. because she is wildly allergic to them. So, it becomes hard because even the hair left lying around will actually inflame her allergies, kind of thing. So it can be a bit rough. You can do antihistamines, but it doesn't always cover it. So yeah, and that's fair. It's nothing against you. It's just nothing against your cats either. Which is really it's very upsetting for her because she absolutely adores cats. She just can't cuddle them, which is rough. That's a rough place to be, right? You find cats adorable, but you can't actually cuddle them at all. Jin says it's kind of dumb to wear a $900 dress to drink box wine. Should have gotten some mid-level whiskey instead. Yeah, some sherry or some cognac or something. Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, if you're not having a martini in that dress, what are you doing? Damn. Like, so Jin's saying that they're the asshole because they're drinking, goon wine in that thing, not something that matches her dress, like a cognac or a whiskey. I kind of, yeah, I'm right on board, Jin. I'm right on board. You should see the damages I have to pay for my pet rule rent. Really? Hugh Jackman's in your house? That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's Farm says, I'm not even paying for your cleaning when you take my cat hair home with you. Yeah, but that's a bit different, Let's Farm. We're talking about, so when legally we're considering damages, and I think morally as well, things that you can just, that are temporary isn't considered damages. Like, for instance, there's sort of vandalism laws and isn't damaging property. Like if you stick up a sticker that can be removed, it's not considered vandalism or damaging public property, for instance, because it can be removed, right? Or chalk on the streets, because it can be removed very easily, it's not considered damages. So I think with that isn't damaging when you can just clean your stuff when you get home or brush it off, kind of thing. It's not a great big deal in that case. I think we're talking a bit different when something is damaged to the point where it has to be repaired rather than rectified. Do you have a pet Deadpool too? Yeah, nice. Deviant says, if they've known each other for a long time and knows these are conditions whenever you go over there, the fault is minimum partly on the friend. It's the ferret's home. Poster could be more understanding, or at least be like, here, borrow my old sweat plants and a tea, because you know how noodles can get. If it's not possible to have noodles in another room or a cage, 2 out of 2. Sorry, that's mine. I just had a mathematical brain fart. No, that's good. No, I get you. But I think that at the end of the day, you're kind of responsible for making sure that your pets don't damage anything. I think so. And like I said, I don't think she's entirely responsible. I think that it should be split. But I think she's got to take some responsibility. No, Mark, says Aunt Jer, telling me off. No, Mark. It's her own house. You don't lock up your pet in your own house because a guest doesn't like it. The pet lives there. The guest doesn't. Well, if your pet is not trained enough not to attack your guests, then it's something you may have to do. It does make a difference that she knew that the ferret was there and the ferret was a cheeky bastard. But still, I still think that there should be a certain amount of responsibility for what your pets do, even in your own home to guests you've invited into it. I think there should be a sort of a certain reasonable level of expectation that you shouldn't be attacked by anything when you go to somebody's house, when you are a guest in their house. Least of all you. Just saying. Without doing anything. Yeah, if you're being, violent or something, sure, but just a reasonable expectation. My wife never took me out in public without a collar and me holding a warning sign. He bites, beware. Yeah, well, that's necessary, isn't it? I mean, damn. Wes says, if you peeps want me in their house, they should put the pet up. Put the pet up. Does that mean like sort of lock it up or something? It's a good way to keep out of it's a good way to keep out of your house. I have a neighborhood friend with a pit bull that growls and shit at me. Okay, if a pit bull literally defecates in my direction, I would run. I would be so frightened. I mean, a bite's bad. Feces at me is terrifying. I'm a little afraid of it. Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. You can't expect people to love your pets like you love your pets. I'm sorry, you can't. We had a dog and 3 cats. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I think you told me that at one point previously. Jessica says people should always be held responsible for the likely outcomes of your actions. Wearing a fancy dress to a house where you know a ferret lives was your decision. Yeah, but I don't think that I don't think that a reasonable expectation would be sort of for it to do a certain action. Like we wear seatbelts, but we don't, a reasonable expectation is not of driving is not getting in an accident. Like that isn't the reasonable expectation when we go to do it. Something that occurs that it's an unlikely occurrence can't be by definition a reasonable expectation. And as she points out, that this ferret hasn't done this before. Like she's been a menace, but she hasn't done this before. Big Bad Mama says, you're asking if I supported your ferret legging hobby. I don't. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. Don't support me then. I don't care. I do care just a little. Don't abandon me, Mama. He just lets him fuck with me so I don't go in. Problem fixed. Yeah, and that's having control over your environment. If you don't like it, you don't have to go in. I get you. Andrew says cats are meanies, lol. And hi, Andrew. When they're not mine, they tend to try and piss on my art stuff. Okay, well, I mean, look, I'm not saying that cats are the best art critics, but are you using sand for your art? I don't know what about art would make them want to like pee on it, kind of thing. My pet squirrel Soot is a bit messy, but he's not a menace, and I'd never lock him in his cage. His nature to collect and sort, rummage around with things, and he's very cuddly, sweet boy. Everybody loves Soot, and Soot loves everybody. Everybody loves Soot. Everybody does. So yeah, I totally get that. Oh dear. She most certainly did not need to wear that dress because she didn't have time to change. Bullshit. It's a house. It has rooms to store your dress and change in. Just excuse yourself from the boxed wine literally 2 minutes early. It doesn't take that long to put a dress on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why she wore it. I get what you're saying, though. Like, I get what you're saying. And I think that, the host lending her, like, saying, hey, I'm worried about the dress, just put on a T-shirt and sweatpants that I have spare, would probably be a better idea. And I get you. I get you. Tori says, this said friend showed up at a house in a Vilch's silk dress, knowing that ferret was probably out. So I think that the owner of the ferret should pay something because the silk dress friend knew it was a chance something like that could happen. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the moral thing to do would be split it. One person's the pet owner, the other person knew the pet was there. I think that would be a fair compromise, but I don't know how that would play out legally as opposed to morally. I think that legally the owner of the pet would be responsible. I think that's the way it would play out legally. But then again, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but I think that's the way that it's paid out. For pet damages in a home. Oh, so it's gone straight to renting. In Australia, or at least WA law, yeah, the pet owner liability law. The pet owner can be wholly or partially liable under legislation. Yes, and maybe the court would say that they're partially responsible. Pet owners are also responsible for the actions of pets on their own private property. For example, if a pet attacks a visitor with no provocation, the pet owner may be held liable. Yeah, so I think the court would probably find, in answer to the question, when is a pet owner liable? The answer is almost always. Ultimate responsibility for the actions of a pet lies with the pet owner or carer. Yeah, so I think at least where I am, the law sort of says, hey, ultimate responsibility lies with the owner. So yeah, and I love that comment. I love it so much. I'm gonna show it twice. Hi, Binge Thinker. Good to see you. Jessica says, well, that seals it. If not about the animal and its behaviors, you're completely responsible for your choice to wear that dress. Yeah, but I still not sure that, she knew that it would do what it did. I think that sort of being a menace or being, naughty and, jumping on your dress is two different things, Jessica. But I get where you're coming from. I do. And I at least have been convinced that she's partially responsible, absolutely. I do think that. Okay, so Phantom says, yeah, Wes, it's kind of on the owner to contain the menace when the company is around. Yeah, I kind of do. Kind of do. Archer disagrees. No, it's not. The company doesn't have to be there. The guest knew about noodles for coming over. Yeah. Tori says the original post should offer about $300 for a pet. Even that, I think, is a bit much for a half. Am I getting inches wrong? Like, isn't a half-inch gap? Hang on a second. Half inch into centimeters, because I use real units. Yeah, 1.27 centimeters is almost nothing. Like, I'm serious here. Like, was it half an inch? Come on, mouse. Yeah, half an inch slit. Maybe she's under exaggerating. I get that. But, considering that that's like less than 2 centimeters, that's like tiny. It's tiny. It's tiny. It really does sound like she's upset and just, inflating the amount, to be honest with you, because she's upset and reacting essentially. Aunt just says, I will die on the hill that owners aren't responsible for damages guests knew would occur by virtue of visiting. Visit is at guest's own risk. Yeah, I don't agree with that, Archer. I really don't. I think you at least have some responsibility to ensure there is a reasonably safe environment for your guests. I'm sorry. I'll die on the other hill. I think you have a responsibility to do that. Taking your family heirlooms to a rock concert, then in getting upset they got damaged. I don't know. I mean, it depends what kind of rock concert that you're at. I mean, rock can be very, very, like, I'm not sure by rock concert. Like, if it's fairly, if it's Foo Fighters performing on, the like a venue or something, like a festival is the word I'm looking for. Like, just say they're playing a festival where there's tons of people. Yeah, but if you're watching, I don't know, Metallica play the Sydney Opera House, I think you would probably be upset if it was. So it all depends on what you're saying is a rock concert sort of thing. I'm not sure what that would be, but at the same time, I think that in ticketing, it's sort of, they provide, you're responsible for your possessions at the festival or the concert or whatever. I think that they indemnify themselves for that, so they have an expectation of protection that you ordinarily wouldn't have when you take your possessions to somewhere. They have to. So you sort of agree to it buying the ticket, so it's a bit different. But morally, yeah, I get what you're saying. But at the same time, you can expect a lot of thrashing and, people crowd surfing and just doing all kinds of crap at a concert. But you wouldn't expect to be attacked by an animal at your friend's house, even if the animal had previously been mischievous. Like, you wouldn't expect it to actually attack you. Please hit the like button. Yes, please. Pinworm says, my TV audio is a half second behind my phone and it's delicious brain tickle. Well, whatever tickles your brain, Pinworm, whatever tickles your brain. Loose ferrets are going to be mischievous no matter what. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you are probably right. Although I don't know whether it was the sheer substance that made the ferret attack rather than, just sort of be mischievous kind of thing. I don't know whether it was trying to climb up her dress or just, attack her dress. I have no idea. Essentially Average says, who are you to tell someone how to deal with the pet in their home? Oh, I'm not. I'm just saying that they're responsible if that pet causes damages. That's all. Jessica says, animals don't understand instructions we give them like children can. Yeah, well, that's true. That is true. But I think the responsibility does lie with the owner, or at least partial responsibility to some degree. Don't even, Jer. I know what I said. I know what I said. Big Bad Mama says my extra silk underwear costs thousands to repair. Yeah, I've got a few questions about that. Anyone that names their ferret Noodles is completely blameless. Okay. Exactly. Not only that, but the ferret owner is due damage because Noodles was traumatized by the experience. Yeah, absolutely. Had a girlfriend in a house of ferrets, the biggest thief I ever met, stole anything that wasn't nailed down. Deport the ferret. That's it. Deport the ferret off to El Salvador with it. It doesn't have a green card. It's a foreigner. It's probably a European ferret. Deport it. Fucking hell. Justice for Noodles. I'm going to be so disliked by the end of this. Oh, no. Noodles is a great... Yeah, it is. Like, I will acknowledge that. Look, the ferret is not to blame. The ferret is blameless. And, like, that's the thing. If a dog bites somebody, the dog's blameless. It's the owner that is to blame for not training the dog properly. That I don't hold animals responsible for what animals do when they're animaling. Like that is the responsibility of the owner of the animal to provide the correct training. So it will not actually do that because we can train animals. Tori says, I do put my dog away when certain family members come over because the probability of them getting hurt is higher than normal because of certain medications and stability issues when she jumps. So goes in her crate when they come over. That's fair. And that is a responsible thing to do. Totally, Tori. That is responsible. Although, from the way this is posted and some of the questions and responses, what I'm gathering is that Noodles had never done this before. And if that Redditor is to be believed, which is highly doubtful, but if ferrets attack... Hang on a second. Let's Google this. Do ferrets attack sheer substances? We might learn something today. I mean, don't bank on it. Don't bank on it. It doesn't say. Oh, okay. Hang on a second. Hang on. I think I found something. Here. Okay. All right. I'm going to zoom in on this and let's read it. I haven't read it, right? So this is MSD veterinary manual. So it's a veterinary manual, a case for pet owners. Special considerations for ferrets. Cornell University. Okay. Ferrets can quickly get into dangerous situations. They are intensely curious, nearly fearless, highly persistent. Yeah, no, that is definitely true. Highly persistent and have the ability to squeeze into very small openings. This trait may lead to serious injury or death. No, not Noodles. Ferrets also like to chew on soft or plastic objects, such as foam, pencil erasers, rubber bands, and other objects found around the home. These objects can pose a choking hazard. No, not Noodles. An intestinal block can be fatal. Oh, no. Before obtaining ferret or ferrets, it is essential to ferret-proof your home. Seal or holes larger than 1 inch in walls, floors, ductwork, and in appliances such as televisions, refrigerators, stoves, and washers. Use wire mesh rather than tape, which ferrets can remove. Of course they can. Put away anything small enough to be swallowed. Do not overlook toxic items such as houseplant. Lock drawers, cabinets, and doors. Be aware that childproof locks may not stop a ferret. Damn! Unstoppable ferrets. They're very good at manipulating objects with their front paws and have been known to open zippers and untwist bottle caps. Get down to ferret eye level. I just love the concept of that. Get down to ferret eye level. Get down to ferret level and look for small spaces behind furniture and around fixtures such as radiators and pipes, especially those that narrow and taper where a ferret could become lost, stuck, or suffocate. Recliners and sleepers sofas also pose a hazard. When they cannot be adequately supervised, ferrets should be confined. Well, I mean, it was supervised. I get you. Biting is a natural behavior of ferrets. They may bite to get attention or as part of play. Yeah, like I said, if they like you, they will bite you. Yes. This is particularly true of young males that have spent their lives in a pet shop with other ferrets, little human interaction. Ferrets may play with humans in the same rough manner they play with other ferrets. If a ferret nips at you, return it to its cage for a brief timeout period. Do that consistently, and the animal will learn that biting is not appropriate. The tunneling instinct has also led ferrets being stepped on while under rugs and sat on in couches. Yeah, fair enough. It might be helpful to provide with ready-made clothes. Okay, well, so we've learned a lot about ferrets, but I'm wondering, like, foam, pencil, or so soft or plastic options. So, the sheer thing of something giving off like plasticky light, that may be of what provoked the ferret. It's interesting though. So they may attack sheer substances. So that does seem to track. Yeah, so they may do that for some, ferrety reason that we're unaware of. That's interesting. That's interesting. If you don't want to be called Mediscare, maybe stop pretending to cut Medicare. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Cup of noodles, tragic end. Yeah. Porcupines are not mustelids, Chrissy. Porcupines are something different. They're their own thing, I think. Or else I'm wrong. I don't want to be yelled at again, so let me Google it. Yeah, Hystricidae and Ethiziontidae. Okay, that's really hard to say. But Histicidae is fine. Like, their porcupines are their own thing. They're not mustelids. They're their own thing. Giant otters are ruthless. Yeah. I like Japanese otters. Japanese otters are so cute. So cute. Oh, otters are the cutest. There you go. I'm glad you're on board. Why are you saying the ferret attacked her? I thought the ferret jumped on her when she moved. She gets up to go to the kitchen, and Noodles, being the man, bolts towards her and jumps up. His little claws snag the back of her dress, and it tears her half. Okay, so he jumped up on her back, and ripped a hole in her dress. I just like that entire sentence. I'm just going to leave it there. Found one blue heeler puppy. I'm very friendly. Have a hard time getting the car photo. It's a badger. Yeah. I'll agree that these people are not being reasonable. Show over, go home. Lol. Well, I mean, where's half of these, mate, are just a failure to communicate properly. That's half of them are, like, seriously. Tilting says, yeah, no question, this animal ought not have been free roaming, separate room or cage during the visit. That said, the guest is at least equally responsible. I kind of agree with that at the end of the day. I think that you sort of have to say, hey, you're responsible for your pet. I did know the pet's there, so I'm responsible for wearing the dress. I think that we can share responsibility for this one. But at the same time, I think that the other person's an arsehole for saying that their dress takes $900 to repair. Seriously. Yeah. Too many unknowns, says Wes. If you ask me, I'd lean towards both being jerks and need to agree to pay half or something. I agree. Jin says, Torn Dress Girl has watched the ferret, probably even played with it. Firm Missile want to play. Yup. Wes says, not surprised, no good with the law this time. Yeah, but I mean, the law and morality are different things. The law is a lot more practical as far as, keeping the peace is concerned, and not really, the law deals with categorization of infringement and punishment kind of thing. So it only deals with a lot of the time keeping the peace or resolving conflicts kind of thing. It doesn't it's not like morality that says, who was it, what we ought to have done and who was right and who was wrong. It doesn't really deal with that a lot of the time. Exceptionally Average says ferrets climb on people. Apparently the dress owner had to know that. Well, I mean, I don't know because there's a lot of unknowns. I'll grant you, EA, that we don't know everything. Like, they may have known, they may not know. And, it is just one side of the story. We also have to consider that there's always two sides to the story. We don't, we have to sort of take it as read, but at the same time, we don't really know. Are ferrets actually polymorphed Kenda to hide their nature while they rob you blind? Or they are wild shapes? Or die ferret for the win? Okay, so if nobody gets that, that is a Dragonlance reference. You didn't think I'd know that, did you, Jedi? You didn't think I'd know that. So it probably was the fearless part, because in Dragonlance, the series of books, Kenda are these smallish kind of humanoids that literally do not know the meaning of fear. Like, they just have no propensity for fear at all. So they cannot be made to fear anything. So they're usually doing really stupid things because there isn't any sense of caution whatsoever. It's actually quite funny. You didn't think I'd get that reference, did you? If humans aren't for riding, why are they made of tall? Okay, you got me. Okay, look. I don't even know how to respond to that. I cannot respond to that. Of course they're made for riding. Of course they are. And my cats in the past would agree. Wes says, yes, that's what I mean actually by the law was this time, as I disagree with the morality of laws being applied. Yeah, no, I get you. Okay, so I do apologize. I might take a quick break and just refill my coffee because I'm feeling quite tired. I do have a thing. I shouldn't be very long. I'll be like a couple of minutes. So I will do one more at least. Yeah, I'll do one more. This my rant took up a lot of time. This one took up a lot of time. Everybody had some real strong opinions on Noodles and the Great Dress Assault of 2025. Some strong opinions, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. Even if you disagree with me, I still love it. But I'll be right back and enjoy some of my music for the moment. Sorry, everybody. Thank you for bearing with me. I am back in black, and I have Cracky Dax. You know, didgeridoo, how dare you? How dare you? Oh, look, didgeridoos are really hard to play. I will say that right now. They're really hard to play. Never got the hang of the circular breathing thing. Never got the hang of that. Never got the hang of it. Okay. Let's go. And thank you so much for waiting. I really needed this. I feel very, very tired today. But I'm in a good mood. I really am in a good mood. Like Lynn sent me a message while I was checking my phone. Just sort of said, "Oh, apparently the opposition leader, Lord Voldemort, he who should not be named, the Dark Lord himself, has gone to places and started criticizing DEI, which is just atrocious." And the poll is everyone is buggered. Yep, everyone is buggered. I kind of agree with that. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. For sure, yeah. Everybody's acting like a absolute shit. Okay, that is an ad. Okay, next up the rank. Next up the rank. You have every right to disagree with me and be wrong. I'm not unreasonable. Yeah. No, you've got every you're entitled to your entirely incorrect position, sir. And I will stand up for your right to express your entirely incorrect position to people. Sacred caffeine. Yeah, feels like that some days, mate. Old bookstore, 1900. Am I the arsehole? Told mum she can bill me using the tuition money she stole from me. Okay, so I have questions. If this tuition money was earned by you, then yeah, she stole it. If they gave you tuition money and then she took it back, I'm not sure you could count that as theft. I'm not sure. There's so many things. There's so many questions I have about this one. Wild. Okay. Let's see. When I, male, 33, was preparing to go to uni, my mum confessed that there would be no tuition money for me. Through the years, my dad would give her cash to deposit, but she only did the first one. She spent the rest. To be honest, I wasn't even surprised. Okay, so if the dad gave her cash to deposit for your tuition, then yeah, she stole it. Absolutely. What is wrong with my mouse? That is absolutely the case. I am all on board with that one. Yeah. Yep. All on board. She stole it. For reasons to do with her narcissism, I have an arm's length. She promised she would pay me back and asked that I never tell me dad. Never tell me dad. Never tell me dad. Yeah, so for 4 years, I thanked them for the tuition money while I took out loans. Oh, damn, that sucks. For reasons to do with her narcissism, I have an arm's length relationship with her, but she would say we're pretty close as she assumes my smiling and nodding while she drones on about the same stories is a relationship. Okay, well, I mean, so part of me goes, well, if you're don't care about her stuff, why are you smiling and nodding along? Like, we have a family cottage. I mean, yeah, I guess, keeping up relationships is good, but I'm not sure that you should feign interest in her if you don't have it. I don't know. That's weird. We have a family cottage. Where are you, England? A family cottage that she puts above everything else. She lives there about 90 days of the year. What, she's got a second home, basically? A cottage? Like a summer home? She's got a summer home and she's stealing your tuition money. That's wrong, man. Maybe your dad. I mean, I don't know. I'm not getting enough information. I don't know if his dad and mum are still together. I don't know. It was about 9 days a year. I've been going there with my girlfriend for about 4 days for a couple of summers, which she begrudges as it takes away from her time. Okay, my dad supports my going, which is how I pull it off. Oh, look, we don't need to know how you pull it off, sir. That's between you and yourself. She recently told me there was time for me to start paying for some of the maintenance on the cottage since I use it. She actually suggested 1K. Yeah, that is wildly disproportionate. Holy crap. I told her she could take it out of the tuition IOU and we can negotiate the amount with Dad. Yeah, I mean, if she's been telling you she'll pay it back, then yes, she owes you that money. It doesn't matter that it's a verbal contract. It's a contract. It's a contract, right? I'm not like, yeah. So whether or not it's hard to prove in court, morally, if someone's saying, hey, I will pay you back, just don't tell your father, then okay. That is a verbal contract. If you accept that, she has told you that she will pay you back, which is a verbal contract. Now, you might not be able to prove it in a court, and that might be a problem. We're talking about morality here. So morally, she does owe you that money, yes. She was speechless. She texted me later to say it was manipulative to bring up the tuition and to threaten to tell Dad. It went on and on. You made the deal. You made the deal. I don't. So, okay. So first thoughts are, I would be wary of anything where someone's saying, hey, I'll pay you back, but don't tell anybody or tell your father. Like, I think that that's suspicious right off the bat. Like, just straight off the bat, that's suspicious as hell. Just saying. Just saying. I have issues with that. I have big issues with that. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. I've been thinking about it, and first I'm hurt, offended that she can't just do a nice thing for me, that she has to get something for it. Secondly, I guess I'm not over the whole tuition thing. Would I be, it's one of the future ones, would I be the arsehole for bringing up ancient history and not paying her for her use of the cottage? Edited to add, at the time, it never occurred to me that I should have told him. I thought I was doing the right thing by protecting both of them. That pretty much summarizes my childhood. Yeah, so, like, obviously people have said, hey, you should have told him up front that, you know, he's putting the money in and you're not telling him where it's going. I think that is sort of arsehole-ish behavior. And it kind of is, yeah. It's kind of, you're not communicating with your father, and that's a problem. You know, like, that's a real problem. So, for a start, I can't. This guy's got to stand up to his parents. Like, seriously, you know, like playing nice with them. I get, like, you know, keeping things civil and keeping things respectful because they are your parents. But there's no need for you to pretend like the light shines out of their ass, because it doesn't. They're just your parents. And like I've said before, your parents are going to be disappointed by you in one way or another. So just rip that bandage off. You know, you're never going to be able to live up to your parents' expectations. And being able to say, hey, I'm not doing what my parent wanted, but I am living my own life. You know, but the fact that she is, like, the fact that she took that money with obviously no intention of paying you back, but promised you it, that is horrible. Yeah, you are basically, I don't think stolen is the right word. I think he was defrauded, right? Like, because he agreed that she would pay him back with her no intention to pay back. So it's not really stolen. It is defrauded, though. She defrauded him out of money. Because he agreed that she could take it. Okay, so that's the important part. Theft is when you take something with no agreement to take it. Fraud is when you take something and, you know, there's conditions to it and you don't meet those conditions for what you have offered. It's why when you take something from the store, you know, and shoplift, that's stealing. When you go in there and you give them a check and take the thing, that's fraud, right? So it's important to have these terms correct. I'm just saying legally kind of thing. So, you know, your mother defrauding you is a huge deal. And I guess she's also defrauding the father as well, because she's telling him, hey, this is going into a fund for our son, but, you know, that's not what's actually happening. So, you know, I think that wow, this is, this is hard to see, but absolutely not the arsehole. I think that, absolutely, he is a victim of his mother defrauding him. That's rough. That's rough. That's really rough. I can't even imagine what that would feel like. I can't even imagine. In a way, it is worse than stealing, kind of thing. In a way, it is, because she's also made a promise, and just hasn't even bothered to try to live up to it. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, this is a rough one. So I think absolutely not the arsehole. This guy has been victimized by a very horrible parent, a very horrible peasant. It's not his fault. And, I think that sort of stopping believing her crap is the best thing he can do right now, is sort of just go, hey. But also, he's got to tell her how he feels, right? One way or another, you have to say, well, you don't have to, but it is healthier to say, hey, I'm upset. I'm really upset about this, and I don't like it, kind of thing. It can be rough to do that, especially when you have a manipulative parent. They know what to say to defuse you or deflect you, kind of thing. It can be really rough to do. I think in some situations, writing them a letter where they can't, talk back or manipulate, is sometimes a good way to go. It depends how your father feels about it as well. And I think talking to him and saying, hey, what are we going to do about this? Because, technically, there's no reason why he couldn't press charges. If she said that she is going to, that you're going to lend her the money and then she's going to pay you back, that is fraud. And that doesn't matter whether it's your child doing it, your parent doing it, your cousin doing it. It doesn't matter. It is still defrauding somebody. Rough, really rough. Anyway, I'll put the poll out. Sorry, this is less happy one than Noodles the ferret. Yeah, this is just sad, really. It really is sad. I really feel for this person. I really do. If it was a friend or something, it would hurt less than your fucking mother. Ow. Was the poster? Sorry, it's a would the poster? Would the poster be right for claiming, let's say, for offsetting IOU and telling dad oof. Okay. Now I had a new one in here because poster is Bonza. Sorry. I'm going to have to replug my mouse in a second. This is getting annoying. I hope my mouse isn't giving out. I have a very specific mouse that I use, and I won't use any other mouse. I just will not. It's a very specific thing. I have a mouse called the Razer Naga, and I will not use any other mouse on the face of the planet. There was one I was considering from their competitors, but this mouse is so good. So good. You don't understand. You don't understand, all right? You just accept that you don't understand. Boop. Yeah, no, I agree, Jessica. It's not much of a moral quadlemma. Quadlemma. I get you. We've already established it's a quadlemma and not a dilemma or a trilemma. But I do agree with you. It's kind of, some of these are really clear cut, aren't they? Just wow. What did you do wrong? Absolutely nothing. It's wild that, like, I can understand that somebody that's been manipulated by their parents would think that they're the bad guy for having an expectation of you standing by your word and telling your dad that he's been defrauded. Like, how could that be the wrong thing to do? Some people can gaslight. And that's the thing. It's some people can convince others, especially people in a weakened position or a weakened sort of self confidence, that they are the one to blame for the terribly reprehensible actions that they're doing right now. You know, that person's to blame, that they're the ones that have caused this to happen because you are X, Y, and Z. You know, like it's not cool. Please don't gaslight people. Not cool. Not cool at all. Ute lawyer, who is a lawyer for Utes. Supreme Court, not the arsehole, but I'm confused of why you agreed to keep this a secret from your dad. It isn't clear from your post whether or not your parents are currently married. That's what I said. But either way, it makes no sense to lie to your father. He thinks he spent his money on your education, and for some reason you went along with this lie. Yeah, I wonder about it. Yeah, absolutely. If I was my child, I'd be very angry at my wife, but I'd be hurt. If it was my child, I'd be very angry at my wife, but I'd be hurt by my son. Like, do we not have a good enough relationship? Oh, right. Like, if she doesn't tell you, yeah. That I wouldn't believe him, or what? Also, it hurt that I worked hard to keep my child. So maybe it is a bit of a rocky relationship. So having come from divorced parents myself, sometimes you feel like you can't tell parents things if they have a rocky relationship because you want them to stay together, and you feel like the extra burdens you pile on or the extra problems that you bring up are going to split them up, and you don't want that. So I think that some parents take advantage of that. They sort of are like, well, you know, don't tell your dad because you don't want us to get a divorce, do you? Or don't tell your mum. Now, I don't know whether that happened in this situation, don't get me wrong, but that can happen, that they sort of some people who are manipulative will sort of prey on that unwillingness to cause for the child to cause any friction between the two because they have a rocky enough relationship already. Like, kids know when their parents have a rocky relationship. I knew what my parents were, you know, not getting along kind of thing. I knew. I fucking knew. Like, there's no, you can't just, like, it's very, you know, what usually when you get to that point of divorce, it's like, oh, well, I didn't think we'd get divorced, but they usually know something isn't right between their parents, that it hasn't been, you know, as happy in the house. You know, they will know that. It's a surprise for the divorce to happen, but at the same time, looking back, yeah, I knew that my parents didn't have a fantastic relationship. Long story, but money, her spending it was a huge thing in our family. It still is. My dad would have gone ballistic. I was trying to keep the peace. Also, mum guilted me big time. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Yep. So your mum preyed on your guilt, saying, hey, your dad's going to go crazy, and, you know, you don't want that to happen, do you? You don't want to put me in that position, do you? No, you put yourself in that position, lady. That was not him. He did not decide that at all. You did. You put you in that position. Wow. This is absolutely toxic and absolutely horrible. Like, seriously. That's terrible. I feel even worse for this guy. Everyone sucks here except for dad. You're the asshole for not telling your dad as soon as you're aware that your mum stole from both him and you. In fairness, did he know she stole? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's been manipulated, and it may not be his fault. I don't think he sucks. I think he reacted with fear and guilt and a whole bunch of stuff. And yeah, you could sort of say, I don't think he was intending to hurt his dad. I think he was intending to do the best for everybody, and sacrificed his own well-being to help theirs. So, I more see an arsehole somebody that does, sacrifices others' well-being for themselves, or for benefit of them, or intentionally does it, kind of thing. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of, I guess. I'm not sure. Maybe I just feel for the guy too much. Like, maybe he was an arsehole, but he wasn't an intentional arsehole. So yeah, kind of. Yeah, I get you. It just, like, I really feel for him. He sounds like just a young guy who's, you know, has a really shitty parent, and, you know, they're absolutely manipulating him. It's frigging horrible. Oh, 33? Yeah, you're old enough to know better, son. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, maybe. At 33, if you're like, cut the umbilical, my guy, my brother in Christ, you have got to stand up to your mother at that age, my guy. Seriously. You know, you don't have to call her an asshole and kick her in the ovaries, but you have to say, hey, this is my life and I decide where it goes from here. You know, because I'm the one who is going to have the consequences of this. Like, the debt is going to be in my name, not yours. And, you know, I'm going to have to be the one to deal with the consequences of trying to chase you for money that you're probably never going to pay back. So, you know, taking control of your own life is definitely something on the agenda for this guy. If he was like 21 or something, or, you know, 20 or something like that, or 19, I would be go, yeah, he's still young. 33? Yeah. Time to stop relying on your mother and not worrying if you disappoint her, really, is really what I'd recommend. Just, you know, you're allowed to be disappointed with your parents. You're allowed to be angry at your parents. You're allowed to be, you know, sad that your parents do something. You're allowed to have normal human emotions for what your parents do, and you shouldn't be guilted into not feeling how you feel. Like, stop, you know, because I got a lot of that. I got when I was upset at my mother, she would be like, you know, I would say, hey, I don't like the way you do this. And it was, oh, well, I'm the worst mother in the world kind of thing. It's like, no, stop. I never said that, right? And it's sort of this guilt of, well, I can't be angry at you because you are, you know, that's manipulative. It's just, I can love you and be angry at you at the same time. Okay? I can be thankful for everything you did for me and not be happy with other things you did at the same time. Doesn't make you the worst person in the world. Hell, it doesn't even make you a bad person. It just means there was flaws that, you know, you didn't like when growing up. That is it. Wow, this is a long post. Okay, let's go through it. Everyone sucks here except Dad. Okay, well, I'm glad you pointed that out, but I don't have enough options in my poll to do that one, all right? I don't. You're the ass. I'm not telling your dad. Yeah. He could have tried legal action to recover some or all that stolen tuition money. That is true. Instead, he may have continued giving her money intended for your schooling while you were taking on debt. Your complicity in your mum stealing, defrauding from your dad and you has hurt your dad. You let him stay ignorant and vulnerable to your mum's lies. Your mum is obviously the asshole as well. Well, I don't think anybody's going to disagree on that. I think that's sort of a given. She has injured you and your dad and manipulated you into being her accomplice to leave your dad vulnerable. You're an adult now. You can choose how much access and energy you focus on your parents. Your mum is manipulative, abusive, user. Well, I mean, yeah, call it like you see it, Reddit. Okay. Yeah. No one who doesn't hold firm boundaries to prevent her accessing vulnerabilities is safe with her. Well, I mean, I don't, you know, I agree about the boundaries. You need firm boundaries, kind of thing. You need firm boundaries to ensure that your life decisions and your vector in your life is being chosen by you and not them. And those firm boundaries may be, you know, stop. You can't talk to me about, you know, what I'm doing from now on about this thing or this topic, or you're not going to tell me that I have to go and do this, or, you know, you're not allowed to do these things, or else I won't be speaking with you, because that's a boundary, right? If you're manipulating me into doing these things, I do not want to speak with you. And that is the consequences of what you are doing. That's a boundary. And we have to man that boundary or woman that boundary and absolutely keep firm to it. Like, if this behavior is not like this in my life, it will not be in my life, because it will not be in my life. One way or the other, you either stop or we stop. like one of the two, because this cannot be in my life. And for me, that was sort of that manipulation from my mother, kind of, and I had to say, no, you're not doing this. That is guilt. That's a guilt trip. You're like, I will not be listening to it. If you cannot stop doing it, then we won't be interacting anymore if you can't stop doing that, right? If I can't say, hey, I'm angry or upset at something without a guilt trip, then I won't be talking to you very much at all. And, that it's not so much an ultimatum. It's just, I can't have that in my life. I can't have somebody guilting me into doing things. And you have to stand by that barrier, that boundary that says, hey, this is not something I want in my life. Because it's not like they tell you that and you're guilt tripped and you just, you feel guilty at the time and then just walk away and it vanishes. No, that's not what happens. You have to carry that back into your life and then, ruminate on it for ages and, dwell on it and then feel guilty and then feel horrible for feeling guilty. And then this cycle, you're carrying that back into they basically say this flippant comment that's a guilt trip and then they walk away. They're not affected at all, right? They're just like, oh, I'm the worst mother in the world. And then they walk away. You're sitting there going, oh, I'm a horrible son. And I should be appreciative and all of this stuff. No, you can't have that. I will not have that in my life. If you're going to guilt trip me, there's a boundary there. And if you can't respect that boundary, I will have that not being in my life one way or another. Just how it's done is up to you. That's the boundary. So when we choose these things in our life, it is because I have to live with the consequences of it, not you. And this is what I feel for this guy. He's got to live with the consequences of every bullshit story and every manipulative thing she does. Like, I mean, she probably takes the money, goes out and has a grand time. She's not being affected. I'll guarantee he is. He's on Reddit putting up a post about it. I guarantee he is. So the reason why we have to have the power to make those boundaries is because it's us that deals with the consequences of these things occurring in our life. Nobody has the power to tell you, hey, take down that boundary. You've got to take my guilt or my this or my. No, absolutely not. You make your own boundaries. You have power over that in your life. You have to accept the consequences of making those boundaries. So whatever you put up, and whether you're not prepared to, have a relationship with people, or you're not prepared to talk about their problems, you want to. If you put those up, you are responsible for the consequences of them. But that comes with being an adult. You take responsibility for the actions and all of the things that you put into your life. But at the same time, you have control over that. No one else. Oh, well, that's a rant. I'm sorry. That was a rant. I just, and I have dealt with and probably still have trauma around that, so my mother was a psychologist. So a manipulative person with a psychology degree is impressively bad. I don't think she was horrible, but there are things that psychologists understand that is manipulation on a whole nother level. It really is manipulation on a whole nother level. Part of me thinks she kind of didn't even know what she was doing. It was kind of like, just a habit for her to make herself feel better. But as any psychologist will tell you, not every habit that makes you feel better is a healthy habit, right? So if you're a parent and you're making yourself feel better by saying, your child goes, hey, I don't like the way you do this. And you say, well, then I'm a bad parent, never got anything right. If you're making yourself feel better in that way, it's probably the wrong thing to do because you're harming somebody else. How old am I? Damn, Wes. On the first date? Wow. I think this little harsh child of a narcissist made that decision to protect themselves. Yeah, that's sort of what I was saying. He's not intentionally That said, it sounds like it's time to come clean and are worried. Trust your instincts, not the asshole. Yeah, and talk to your dad. Talk to people you trust. You know, talk to a professional if your thing is a joke. Yeah. It just sounds like a horrible situation. I do feel for this guy though. I kind of agree with this subreddit. I don't think that he's the arsehole. I think he's just a victim as well. Not the arsehole. Your mother is a master manipulator. You don't do what she wants behind your dad's back, and she's the victim. Nope. You need to tell your dad about the tuition and probably the 1,000 other rotten things she's done and get it out in the open. Yeah, and I think that's true. I think it's time for the truth to reach the light of day. She may adjust her tactics, but she isn't going to change. Well, you don't know that. It's very difficult. She is a narcissist. I don't know if she's, actually a narcissist or just showing some narcissistic traits. I'm not in no position to psychoanalyze anybody, but yeah, it's very difficult for actual narcissists to change because they have to admit something's wrong in the first place, and that's very hard for them. But there's people that have, it's not like, oh, you're a narcissist, the end of the line for you. No, you certainly can look at changing. I'm sure next week or month you'll think of another reason to try and extort money from him. Do not allow this. You deserve better. If something is destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be. I hope OP bears all and gets free. I kind of do as well, and not, even just to deal with it himself. Not so your dad is better off or, trying to break them up, but just so you can release all of that emotional pent-up bullshit that you've got going on. Yeah, I kind of agree. Not the arsehole. Why haven't you told your father about the issue with the tuition? Your mum isn't going to change. How are you still surprised? Okay, so even if she's a narcissist, it's unlikely to change, but it's not impossible. Like it's not impossible. And sort of, if somebody is, interventions work for a reason. It's because they are probably the most gentle way you can tell somebody, hey, your behavior is hurting those around you. And in hurting people around you, we love you, but you're hurting us. And we can't stand by and be hurt by you anymore. The reason why interventions work. Sorry, but you're the arsehole for not telling your dad. Yeah, no, I think on reflection, I think that somebody who is the victim of a narcissistic mother, I think sort of calling them an arsehole is kind of minimizing the mental damage they have done to them. I think that going forward, they have the choice whether to say or not. I'm guessing dad was the only one working in their marriage. Gold diggers suck. Okay. Okay. This the sort of gold diggers thing. It may be that the mother has some mental issues as well. Getting them assistance rather than just minimizing them is probably the way to go. Like, she probably needs to see a therapist. If she's lying to her son and saying, I'll pay you back, and not taking his tuition money, she needs help. Like, yeah, she's an arsehole. Arseholes still need help. Okay, that's the thing. So here's the thing about it. Like, someone, when they're displaying incredibly destructive behavior, if you just shame them, right? And this is why I say shame is never a useful tool to use, a tool of emotional tool to use. It just isn't. Okay, if you shame them and ostracize them, she will just get worse. Okay, so I understand the feeling that it's a righteous punishment to shame somebody and tell them they're never going to change and they're a horrible person and they're always going to be like this. I understand how sort of cathartic that righteous indignation is. But what's really important is what you want the reasonable consequences to be. Okay, so secular humanism, I'm talking about what's the reasonable consequences. When you shame somebody, you're basically saying you are this thing, this lying, cheating, horrible thing. They're not just things you did, they are who you are. You should internalize that. That is what you are fundamentally. There's a problem there. That if you think that's fundamentally who you are, you will never change. If you have absorbed that and internalized that that is intrinsically what you are, you will never change, because you can't change who you are. If there are things that you've done and you can change, there's hope there. And people have changed. Okay, people have adjusted and managed their conditions like narcissism to be a way better person in society. So if you want the result to be people being the same people they always are, then yeah, shaming and yelling at them and calling them this thing is cathartic and it makes you feel good. Great. But if you want a better society with better people, there has to be something else we can do. We can say, hey, this is hurting everybody around you. We want you to get some help, right? We want you to see therapists and, finding out whether they absolutely hate themselves for it. A lot of these times, these people that do these things absolutely loathe themselves. Absolutely loathe themselves. So, we have to start at the start. And I think I saw a thing recently by Josh Johnson. He said, "Who taught you to hate yourself?" It struck me. It's like, some of these people that are doing such destructive things to themselves. Like, who taught you to hate yourself? It's a good question. Sometimes it's parents. Sometimes it's people on the playground. Sometimes it's, people you think are your friends. But it's a good question. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I rant. I'm in a ranty mood. Okay. I think I warned all of you that I was in a ranty mood, but that's a question that has been bouncing around my head just from my own childhood growing up kind of thing, and some real self-destructive behaviors that I got into. Obviously not robbing my son that I don't have, but, some very self-destructive behaviors. And that question of who taught you that you are worthless, because it's not true. So the question then becomes, who lied to you and told you that you are worthless and not worth anything, and all of these horrible things? Who taught you to hate yourself, and why did they do it? It's a good question. It's a very good question. I think I've thought about it a lot. I'm back at Noodles, so I've gone too far back. I'm back at Noodles, and I do agree. Noodles best name for a ferret, absolutely. Let me just look here. The color of the dress, Wes? The dress, you mean it was a blue and black dress, but it appears to some people as white and gold. White and gold. So it's actually a blue and black dress. It's just the way the light shined off it to some people. It looked like white and gold. Like, I saw blue and black. My wife saw white and gold, but it's a blue and black dress because they took other photos of it without that particular perspective and lighting coming off of it. My mum stole 6,000 from me. I can't legally prove it. Oh, that's rough. She has her own personal justification for doing it, so she is consciously aware of it. I cut her, and my life's been 5 years now. Yeah, and if that's your boundary, and absolutely I can understand why it would be, Jessica. That is rough, but if you cannot have somebody doing that in your life, and I completely understand why, then that is a boundary that you're maintaining, and I hope your life is better for it. I really do. That's tough though. That's really tough. And I totally understand. I think with the guilt tripping and sort of the emotional manipulation that I was getting, I was kind of close, but I think that, our relationship to her, to my mother, was worth enough not to continue what she was doing and actually look at what she was doing and how it made me feel. So I think that sometimes sort of that intervention of, hey, I cannot have this, is absolutely worth it. And if she continued sort of the same behavior, I can get where you're coming from. Absolutely. And yeah, I'm so sorry, Jessica. It's that's rough for anybody. Wes says, I feel bad for a kid being used by their mum's trust. Yeah, it's not something I, as a kid or a teen or even 21, you were still dependent on your mum a lot, and to abuse that as a mum is crappy. Standing up is hard. Yeah, and I think as a child you sort of have this. I mean, it's almost like an instinct to trust your parents, right? You trust whatever they say, kind of thing. I mean, maybe not everybody. I kind of, took it with sort of blind trust in what they said. I think sort of as an evolutionary thing, that is beneficial, because we know that kids can't make reasonable decisions by themselves at a young age. If so, we'd all be eating candy, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You've got to have some level of trust. And I think that when we reach into the teenage years, we have that rebelliousness that has to come, like, in order for us to separate our identities and our lives from our parent. You have to have that rebelliousness. So, a lot of parents just go, yeah, they're rebellious phase, we understand it. I think it is just that, I've had confidence in everything my parents are saying, and I now have to move on to my own life, and that rebelliousness facilitates that. So at the same time, some people never get beyond that. Like this person may not have, done that rebelliousness that allows them to separate from the tutoring of their parents into the self-learning of adulthood, which sucks. Like, I totally sucks. Textbook fraud. Yeah, absolutely. Andrew says, my expectations for my son are open-ended. As long as he is happy and treats others well enough, I'll be happy with him. But I do feel bad at how much he looks up to me, and I feel I'm not the best. Look, Andrew, just like, your parent, you're never going to live up to your parents' expectations. You're not going to be able to look up to your child's. That's okay. A good parent is one that's good enough. There's no perfect parent, but I get that. I totally get that. Just the fact that you love your son and you try your best to provide for him and everything, you are good, and you are a good parent. That's it. You do your best to provide for him. You provide him support. You provide him comfort. You love him no matter what. That's it, right? You have done everything that you need to be a good parent. That's it, right? Like, so don't worry too much about the other stuff. Really don't worry about the other stuff, because children will understand if you can't provide the most extravagant lifestyle or the most amazing things in life. They will understand. What they won't understand is a parent that doesn't love them. That they won't understand, and that's where most of the problems come from. I don't know. I disagree, Andrew. I think if you could be a better father, you'd be doing it. I think that you're doing your best, and the way that you speak about your son in my chat, I have no doubts you are a good father. I have no doubts whatsoever. Just the way you speak, I really do. Wes says, I have like the best mum in the world. I have always been able to trust, and I don't know how I'd confront her, especially at that age. That's the very manipulative part in my experience. Yeah, no, totally, Wes. I totally get it. And, it was rough for me to, sort of stand up and say, hey, I do not like this. And you are not guilting me into not saying anything. I will say this no matter what. Yeah. Andrew says, jealous Wes. I wish I could talk to my parents, but they'll never grow up and treat me with respect. And someone open up would be very nice. Props on your mum. Yeah, I mean, at the same time, both my parents passed away, so I don't have any parents anymore. So there's that. In a sense, your parents may not be there forever. So, have your boundaries, but at the same time, try to be flexible with your interactions. Like, try to accommodate them as long as they're not violating your boundaries. I guess I should say that, and that's rough. But, by the end of it, I think I did have a really good relationship with my mother. My dad, I think that he was very distant emotionally. So probably not the best relationship, but not the worst either. I mean, we weren't angry at each other. We weren't harmful to each other. We weren't, it's just very, very distant and cold, I guess. So it could have been worse, I guess. So yeah, not much dilemma. Yeah, no, I think I read that out earlier. Yeah, you're right, Jess. It really isn't. Where it says having a good relationship with both parents, growing up in a very family orientated family that grew up close. I feel sorry for those people with messed up parents. Yeah, I mean, we can have empathy. We can understand where people come from. Don't be guilty or apologetic for growing up in a solid household, whereas that's you didn't choose that, and other people didn't choose the messed up family. None of us choose, where we're born or what family we're born into. All we can do is make the best of what we have and work from there. And I think that the sort of doing that, I mean, there's a lot to it. There's a whole lot to it, but people with very close families can end up with awful, horrible, harmful lives to the people around them, and people with broken homes can grow up to create the most amazing things and have the most amazing families. So, I think it is what we do with it, not where we come from. Deviant says you're smiling and not alone because that's what you've been programmed to do by your abuser. Yeah, I kind of thought that. Yeah, you're probably right, Deviant. If your abuser is a parent, the program is your spinal fluid. The response becomes automated. Oof. Exceptionally average says, I think he should extort as much money from her as he can, then tell his father what she did. He should then give any money he got from her to his father. Well, yeah, and I get that. I get that. But I think that sort of telling her that she's wrong for extorting or defrauding money and then doing the same is incredibly hypocritical. I'm not sure it would teach her the lesson that we're really after, to show how she's hurting others. That would probably escalate her behavior a great deal. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. Not sure that's the right thing to do. Deviant Outcast says, if mum's a narcissist, the relationship's going to be abusive. Yeah, probably. And if you know narcissism as a child of one, you know how volatile every situation is, and you're always in constant fear of what will happen to other parents, siblings, and to yourself unless you do everything and anything to mediate a situation to not set off the narcissistic nuclear bomb. Yeah, and the narcissistic nuclear bomb, they blame you for it. Like, instead of they got caught, it's you let something known that you weren't supposed to know. The amount of guilt and blame they transfer onto other people is just horrendous, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It's kind of like the criminals that are like, how dare you interrupt my crime, rather than, oh, I did the wrong thing. It's just wild. Tilding says, my impression is that this happened a decade earlier. He's just retelling it now, but I may have misunderstood. Yeah, I think some time passed in between her agreeing to pay him back and taking the money, and now sort of, maybe, I don't know how many years, he hasn't been specific, but yeah, I'm getting that as well, Tilting, that she's been taking his money for a while now, and that's horrendous, just because 33 and is in the that's it, I've had enough of the bullshit, life's too short, so long loses territory. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I get you. 33 is definitely in the territory of, if you can't have a frank and honest conversation with your parents, maybe have some help, talk to somebody who knows interfamily communications and can suggest some ways in which you can convey your emotions and express them in a healthy way. Because those emotions, they just don't go away because you can't tell your parents something. It simmers down under. Down under, yeah. Never mind. It will pop back up, and you will be a mess if you don't express yourself in a healthy way. He said he's 33 and his mother told him about stealing money. Oh, I get you. No, it says when I was 30. Oh, when I'm male 33 is planning to go to uni. Oh, so this has happened over the course of 15 years or so? Oh, wow. That's actually horrible. That's actually horrible. Oof. Mark, you're really speaking to me. I hope I'm speaking to everybody. But again, like I say always, this is my opinion, and opinions can be helpful. They can be consolidating in the way you're thinking and stuff. They can also be completely wrong because no one knows your exact situation. That's where we have to guide ourselves through it. And people's opinions can help, but people's opinions are like nostalgia. They're things they've experienced in the past, sort of, cleaned up and said, hey, this is how I dealt with it, or this is what happened to me, kind of thing. These kind of experiences that we share with one another. It may be helpful. It may not be, depending on your situation. That's something you have to decide for yourself. And I can talk all day about how things that I've learned may not be applicable to everybody's life. So please do take it as advice and opinions rather than fact and, things that are absolutely true, because I don't think, all of it is true for it's not useful to everybody, and it doesn't work in some situations. It worked in my situation. Take everything with a grain of salt, basically. Deviant says, yes, he needs to stand up to her, but he's likely a victim of CPSD, childhood, post-traumatic stress disorder, or other psychological issues due to having grown up with a mum like that. Growing up with a narcissistic parent isn't a joke. It's deeply damaging. Yes, it is a trauma. Absolutely. So we talk about that as trauma. Like these, even just growing up with somebody that does not treat you in a healthy way can actually be traumatic, even though that they didn't do anything, any one thing that was, acutely traumatic. But a long series of, say, manipulation or a long series of mistreatment by a parent can be traumatic, even though it isn't acute trauma all at once, kind of thing. Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Deviant. His responsibility as a grown man is to seek professional help and achieve the tools he needs to sever the bond. I love how you talk about tools, because that's what, sort of doing therapy, that's what we talk about a lot. Having tools in order to analyze and evaluate these things from a healthy adult perspective. And that's what we're talking about. So yeah, absolutely. 100% bang on. Deviant, you're amazing. Yep. 100% agree. Anja says, if you've been raised by a narcissist abuser, whatever trauma response you had to that situation is ingrained into the fabric of your personalities. You don't have the skills to respond in a healthy way. Yeah. So what you're what you're dwelling on, I think, Anja, and is very, very prescient. It's very, very intelligent. Is that the way people deal with traumas is some kind of coping mechanism. Right. And that coping mechanism, we see these things as bad. We see substance abuse. We see, maybe you have sort of kleptomania or any of these sort of coping behaviors that are maladaptive behaviors. We see them as bad. But in reality, they help you cope with a trauma you couldn't ordinarily deal with, right? So they are a response to a trauma that some behavior has eventuated that helps you deal with it. The problem is that those behaviors either sooner or later become the destructive thing. Like instead of the trauma being the thing, it becomes the behaviors you have used to cope with the trauma being the destructive thing for your life. And that's where we have to relearn or learn in the first place to cope with these things in a healthy way. And that sounds glib and easy, and it's not. It's incredibly difficult. So, once we sort of decide that this coping mechanism is way harmful, not only do we have to change the coping mechanism, we also have to deal with the initial trauma and find a way to deal with that isn't so destructive. So, Anja, you're absolutely right. And so a lot of these are ingrained in what we call core beliefs, especially when they're, sort of from a young age. And again, this is just stuff that I've picked up. I'm not a psychologist, but this is stuff that I've picked up. And again, it's not, in any way, professional advice, but you still can change your core beliefs. It's just really hard, and it's hard work, and I know it's hard work, but it can be done. And I know because I have. Okay, so I have changed my core beliefs over time, and it's hard, but I have. And maybe there's some stuff left over, and I try to deal with it in a healthy way. Don't always succeed totally. Like I get you, but there's no end point to your self-development or your your healthiness. Like being your well-being is not well, you get here and then that's it. It is an ongoing thing throughout your life for everybody. Nobody gets to perfection. It's not what we're after. We just get better at living and being well, enjoying life, being satisfied with life. It's hard. It is hard. There's a million reasons why you shouldn't be. It's really rough. But thank you, Anja. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Oh, you had a follow-up. Sorry there. He needs to be told and learned probably from professional. Absolutely from professional. Highly recommend that he's allowed to stand up for himself. It takes a long time to learn your own value and that you have rights to autonomy. Right, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And you're really talking about those core beliefs, Wes says, I'm still feeling bad for the guy and he needs encouraged to stand up. And sometimes it takes friends allowing you to go do what you want to do anyway. A little push here as a friend is needed. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Like, absolutely. But, so developing your own tools is sort of really important because if you are like, it's fine having support and people helping you, no problem at all. What you want to avoid is using them as a crutch. Like using them as, well, I can only do this when my friends are doing it, right? Because there will be times where you won't have that. So developing the tools yourself is really important, but that doesn't mean you can't get help from friends. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs help. Like, this life is too rough. You will need help from others, and that's the human condition. We can't do everything on our own. We will need help from other people, and probably a great many people. So at the same time, that don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be ruthless and not give it to somebody that needs it, because everybody needs help. Good rant. Oh, I can rant. I can rant. If I'm in the mood, I definitely can rant. I can rant with the best of them. I may have dated your mum. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. How old am I? How old do you think I am? Okay, so I was born in 76. We were talking about this the other day. Tons of people were born in 76, which makes me 49 this year. It makes me 49 this year. 49 is my age. Is that right? Yeah, 76, 4 years, and then yeah. 49 this year. I'm 48, so I haven't turned 49. That's in October, but yeah. Yep. Parents are really good, but they taught me horribly in picking up. Yeah, no, my parents were terrible on the whole dating advice and things like that as well. And that resonates with me a lot. Yeah. I think that I really wasn't. You kind of get told in sex ed the education on how everything works, because we did get sex ed, but there has to be more to it than that. Sort of relationships, expectations, what you're expecting. Like, there has to be a lot more to it than that. And I think that that's where it can really fall down. My ex was so bad at gaslighting and such. I was there for 2 boys, but got worn down from manipulation until I had a breakdown and got away. Yeah, no, that's yeah. And that's literally what can happen if we don't cope with it. We can, just break. And look, a real man isn't somebody that breaks. A real man is someone that breaks and then, puts themselves back together. There's absolutely no shame in breaking. It happens to us. I've broken down. I absolutely have broken down. You worry about the boys? Yeah. It's not your responsibility, Wes. I get you. Yeah, and you have to forgive yourself. Yeah. No, I get you, mate. Oh no, I'm very much in the pro idea of public dunce caps staying in the sham corner of the town square for politicians who misbehave, not waste funds, take advantage of their power. Yeah, but I mean that's a bit different. Really, you'd rather remove them from the power in the first place. You just basically won't have them around. But just sort of shaming them isn't really going to do anything. It'll just be whatever. I don't think it works too much. Jessica said, over the years, dozens of people have hurt me. I've always fantasized about giving them that epic final speech. It's a very powerful fantasy, but you need to sober up. I've never acted on that urge. Yeah, no, I get you, Jessica. And it's not required. Like, when I've said, hey, if you can't interact with somebody, you can write them a letter. I wrote my dad a letter after he died because he died very suddenly. And I wrote him a letter. Of course, I couldn't give it to him, but it's just getting it out. And that's sometimes a healthy way. It may work for you. It may not. It kind of did for me. I felt a bit better after articulating my thoughts onto paper and saying, hey, this is the things that I think. It may work for you. It may not. But it's not important that the person knows how we feel. It's kind of just important that we express it in some way. It doesn't have to be to them. That's the thing. That's the whole thing about, the breakup love song, right? Like it doesn't have to be, given to them. It just, we have to express it because that's healthy. So, even though you don't say these things, Jessica, you can write them down or you can say them to yourself, and that's enough that you're expressing them. That's enough. They never need, you don't have to confront them. I rebelled like hell, but got it back to a good relationship after college or so. Yeah, me too. Yeah, no, I had a wild sort of period in my life as well, Wes. Don't worry about that, mate. But yeah, like I said, by the end of it, I had a really good relationship with my mother. Absolutely. As I said, my dad was cold and distant, but I sort of described him as a, what did I describe him as? Like emotionally challenged, I think, is how I described him in the letter I wrote him. Like he was incredibly emotionally challenged, yeah, that's a euphemism, but holy crap, yeah. I support my girl and try to be as healthy as I can. All of those wonderful stories they inspired. Oh, Jedi. Yeah, Jedi. You subconsciously had a fight. Stop, Archer. Stop gaslighting. Damn it. 1 out of 4. In all instances, you're correct. Shame has no positive application for correcting behavior. It's purely detrimental, which is why narcissists fight. Yeah, they love to use. Absolutely. Yeah, yep. Absolutely deviant. Did I miss one? There's 1 out of 4 and then 3 out of 4. Is one missed in there? Are you breaking these up so they're not segmented? I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I am so confused. No, it goes 1 to 3. Deviant, you are just confusing the hell out of me. You are confusing the hell out of me. Arse building containing visual illusions, type you see in funny houses at Tivoli, fun parks and exhibition, broken glass, thrown dice, and the last book written by Sylvia Plath. I think you missed one there. Before she stuck in Hunt in the Oven, along with a book about dream interpretations by Freud. Like Freud, Freud had some weird ideas. I mean, he sort of said as the father of psychotherapy, but he did have some weird ass ideas. Like we know that your parents can cause traumas, but his thing was just your parents do everything. And that's, it's not really accurate. It's not really. Yeah. But you missed one there, Deviant. Better to exhort than extort. Yeah, I got to agree with that. Left-Hand Jedi. My mom had 9 kids. She was a bit neurotic. I forgave her a long time ago. Yep. Yeah, but you can take issue with your parents and forgive them, and that's totally okay. Jedi, that's totally okay. Yep. You almost fooled me. It's right above 3 out of 4. Is it? It's 100% not. Not on my screen anyway. No, it's really not that. It's like the dress thing all over again. Someone has seen 3 out of 4. Someone's seeing gold and black. What's happening? The internet goes wild. Complex. Oh, yep. Complex PTSD is over time. Yes, thank you. That is exactly right. Yes. So I was talking about acute and complex. Yes. Yep. Yep. I don't see 2 out of 4. Yeah, maybe Deviant just swore all throughout it. Actually, yeah, I believe that. I'm going to choose to believe that Deviant just swore like a sailor throughout the entire thing. So if I agree with everything, revamp my inquiry 2.0 will have some of this human experiences topics. The human level is where we find values at telos in life. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that humans communicating is where we get these values from, what we want to have, our destination, where we're actually headed, and what we hold valuable. I think it is. It absolutely is. And like I said earlier, most humans, they want the same things. It's very, I mean, it's not very simple, but it's pretty consistent across all cultures. You know, we want safety, security. We want to have, have a warmth, shelter, food, opportunity for social mobility. All of these things seem to, be part of the human condition, part of the human experience, that we want to have these things. So, the more I talk to people, the more I understand that when I say that they're immoral, they're trying to get to these things, but doing it in a way that isn't going to get them there. Making a totalitarian regime is not going to get you to these things. Like, we understand that. Making a communist regime is not going to get you to these things. I'm really sorry for anybody out there that's communist, but every time this has been tried, it has ended horribly. Every single time. So how do we get to these things? How ought we behave to get to these things that we want? Can you see it now? Trying 2 out of 4 again. I cannot see it. Have I blocked some word or something? Is yeah, no, 2 out of 4. Okay. Okay, just chill, Deviant. It's okay. I'll go through them one by one, and we can find out where the banned word is that I wasn't even aware that was banned. Okay. I'll go down and I'll find it. Just 1 second. And why I want to use it on politicians who builds a new psych hospital to 10 times the approved cost and then compensates by personnel cuts. I think that's personnel cuts, and left resources for patients simply to build I'm going to assume builds an ugly ass building containing weird visual illusions you see in funny houses. Okay, so you're basically saying that they cut resources to important medical funding to build art facilities. And I kind of agree in some senses, yes, but I don't think we should ignore art. I think that art is important for expressing who we are. But yeah, I do get what you mean. Like if you know, no, yeah. No, the and leads on into the next one. The and leads on to an ugly ass building is what it leads into. So that should be there. No, I gotcha. I don't know. I think that art is something that yeah, no, I get you. There's definitely some things you look at them and you go, oh, what the hell? Like you spent money on this thing. Look, I'll give you an example, and this is from my neck of the woods. Okay, so you'll see some art in Perth, and I'm going to use that in express quotes. There's art in Perth. Okay. Okay, so what do you think this is? Okay, not an art facility, a psychiatric hospital. The houses are the kind that no one with psychosis should have to watch when you're in the building that exists straight here. What do you think this is? I'll tell you what this actually is. Okay, you might have said a cactus. That's a good guess. You might have said someone's expression of a particularly virulent sneeze. I would accept that as well. Rorschach art. That's a good one. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. So you just look at it and you see, oh, I see children playing or something, and suddenly you're healthy. Cactus henge. Okay, gotcha. No, it is a sound wave of the word Perth. Yeah, I'm not even joking. That's what it is. Now, you've got to imagine, as we have a ton of seagulls in Perth, there is now seagull crap all over this thing. Yeah, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. There's now like white crap all over the top of it. We literally made a sound wave of Perth to have birds crap on it. I couldn't. I mean, as art things go, I couldn't imagine a better metaphor for our city. Quite frankly, like a better metaphor for our city. Oh, it's not a psychiatric hospital. In our psychiatric hospital, there's a staircase with an optical illusion about. Why would they put like existential, like abstract optical illusion art in a psychiatric hospital? That just seems mean, deviant. What the hell? Why would they put optical illusions in a psychiatric hospital? Holy crap, that is just what? Okay, that's fucked up. That's like whoever put like the S in lisp, it's just cruel and vindictive, right? It's like the what is it? Yeah, here it is. The fear of long words is hippopotamonstros equipped eladophobia. Like what? Someone was a menace, quite frankly, when naming all of these things. Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah. Oh, that's wrong. That's so wrong. Like seriously. I get that, it doesn't even seem like a warm, like I'd understand warm and comforting art, like, sunflowers and, sort of thing, but optical illusions of postmodernist impressionist art. Why? The whole idea of postmodernist art is to make you uncomfortable. That's the whole idea. Look, this makes me feel very uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, I would say so, but I mean, you see things like Van Hart, the guy that did all of the the messy kind of paintings and things, you kind of, I kind of get it, but yeah, some things are just like, wow, that's art. Okay. No, I get you. Broken glass on the floor. Yeah, it's a sound wave of someone saying birth, and then seagulls crapped on it. So literally, the Perth is being crapped on by seagulls. It as art goes, it's pretty accurate, quite frankly. But yeah, broken glass was a decoration in your psych hospital. Okay, whoever did that needs to be fucking fired, quite frankly. That is horrible. Oh yeah, the pigeons as well. Yeah. And I know art's highly subjective. I do know that. I absolutely know that. But I think that for all the ones that show up that are just baffling, you get some stuff that is absolutely wonderful. You know what I mean? Like, you get some absolutely fascinating stuff, right? Like there's one, I think it's in the Netherlands, like strand walkers maybe, or something like that. Strand walkers. They're like these machines that this guy's built. Strand Beast. Yeah. Help me, Deviant. Strand Beast. You get some wild stuff, right? Oh, thank you, Jedi. Yeah. Okay, 5 readerships. Let me get warmed up. Thank you so much, Jedi. You are a scholar and a saint, sir. And those go out to Captain Bud, Jake, insert clever dapper, little Jake, insert clever dapper inside joke here. Nelson, Davids, J. Passick, and Andrew Cumming. Enjoy your emotes and other benefits. Winners, chicken dinners. Oh, and thank you, Left-Handed Jedi. Awesome. Yeah, Strand Beast. Oh god, these things are so wild. Hang on, let me share this. Check this out. This is art that this guy made, right? There's a Strand Beast. I was watching this thing on Veritasum the other day, and boy, they're awesome. Look at them. They're powered by wind, just wind, and they just walk along the beach. It's amazing. That is so cool. That is so cool. My mic did not like that performance. I'm sorry. What, did it cut out? Was it noise gated? Yep. Okay. Oh, how did the last poll go, by the way? Did I ever put that up? Poster is Bonzo. Yeah, I totally agree. Look, nobody likes my performance. I don't see why my mic should be any different, quite frankly. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, some things, like, it's kind of like invention. Art's kind of like invention. Like, yeah, you get things that are absolutely stupid inventions, but the ones that are worth it kind of make the other ones worth it as well. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to, like, this guy was sort of seen as insane because he wanted to do this, but they really are amazing, just incredible. So I think that the entire sort of institution of art kind of makes the terrible ones worth it, because we get the great stuff. That's the way I see it. Just like, inventions, and some of them are just horrible and useless, but some of them are really good. So fascination in that? No, they're definitely art. They're definitely an artistic thing. And there was a conversation that we were going to have, like, are computer games art? And I think so. Well, yeah, ideally, yes. But I think some things are just worth it to generate the, sort of an emotional meme and an idea, and a, sort of art is kind of how society looks at itself, how it expresses itself in general. So, things like Banksy is amazing art. And I've been to Bristol, I've seen Banksy art, and it's actually incredible the way that it is, using the scenery, and it speaks of someone coming out of a place where they're trying to express the lower the lower class rebelliousness, and I absolutely adore it. I love it. It's fantastic. Highly recommend Banksy. Stating the obvious as usual. But yeah, well, that's been a lot of rants with an aimbot in the middle. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to call it. So thank you for staying with me. Thank you for joining me in the first place. I've actually had a great time, and this was awesome to see you all here. Thank you so much to Left-Handed Jedi for supporting the channel as usual. You have been an absolute mensch. Mensch. I don't know. I'm joking. It's okay. But yeah, don't forget, be kind to yourself. Your barriers are important. Your boundaries are important. Thank you so much for joining me. And, if you do, be kind to the people. And while it's important to enforce boundaries and express what you need as far as those boundaries go and your expectations for them, we want to avoid shaming people into just being what behaviors they're doing. We want to encourage them to change behaviors, not just insult them to a point where they think it's hopeless. So, but that's really where I come from. And, I guess I achieve that to a greater or lesser degree, depending how I'm feeling. And that's okay. I can't be responsible for changing the world. I'm just one idiot from Australia on YouTube. But yeah, thank you all so much. And I will see you all in the next one. Absolutely back here next week. I think I've got a member stream this week. Oh, yeah. And I should really say, like, subscribe, share with friends. If you do, tell them it's a lot of fun. Come along and make fun of the Australian. I don't mind. Do I have one? No, that was last week. God, I'm absolutely getting lost in the source. That was last week. Yeah, so I don't have one this week. So join me again on Thursday night, Friday morning for people the correct way up in Australia for Fundamentalist Fails. Yeah, so join me then and we will have some more fun. See you, everybody.
This old switchboard could talk. Wow, your ears would sizzle. 1880. We take Alexander Graham Bell's invention for granted today. Perhaps we should. But isn't it incredible that millions and millions of people can talk simultaneously to practically any spot on Earth